Welcome in, everybody. That was kind of dramatic. I'm gonna kind of give myself a little cred there. I like that. That intro. Just made that. I hope you guys liked it too. That'll be sort of how we get this thing rolling from week to week, or however we can get on here. Here I am. What's up, everybody? Kevin, thank you for hopping in here early. I wanted to take this time. I want to make this a regular thing. At least once a week, at least during the off season here. Maybe we fire it up a little bit more frequently during the regular season when there's more to talk about. And of course, I'll go live as much as I can when breaking news happens to kind of dissect that and everything. So I want to try to make this a new aspect of the channel where we go live. We talk about what's going on. I want you guys to comment away. Let this be something where you guys can direct the conversation. I have sort of my lineup here. There it is, kind of what we're going to be guided talking about, and we'll just kind of go from we'll go from this. And I want to let's just jump right into it. One of the things that motivated me to get into this today specifically is this whole situation about Major League Baseball. The Players Association and the union, they're at odds with starting the season. If it should be started on time or delayed. It was out earlier today. Bob Nightengale from the USA Today is putting it out there that, let's get the story up, that they're at odds with the start of the season. It should be delayed until May. And this is the story from Nightengale. Talking about shortening the season to 140 or fewer games. And again, the timing on this for this to come out now, these guys are never good on timing, right? We saw it over the summertime, and here we are just 2 months away, and they're talking about pushing back the start of the season because of COVID-19 and the owners saying they want to have all of their players, with the vaccine. And there's a few angles there I want to talk about in just a minute, but we'll dive into that in a minute because that may be part of the reason they're thinking about delaying, because you don't want to have the mess that you had where you have an outbreak on a team and they're not playing for a week. I would think baseball in general would be worried about that more than the owner of the Angels or the Rangers. Because, there is some money that they can make by playing these games. You get ad revenue. It's not the same as the gate, but that's really where it goes. But this whole situation here, let me get this out of the way real quick for a second, guys. Let me get this out of the way while we go through the story. So here you go. National League owner saying, I don't see a snowball's chance in hell that spring training can start with the protocols in place. But you had today the Players Association out there saying, you know what? No, we're ready to go. We're prepared to be out there. Scott Boras disputed MLB's assertion that they lost money during the pandemic, saying that they lost profit, not money. So Scott Boras is out there fighting it. The MLB PA Senior Director Bruce Meyer is out here saying, to be clear, as we've made clear to the league, players are planning on showing up on time and playing a full 162-game season as set forth in the CBA and the league's previously issued schedule. Remember, these guys were bullish about getting that schedule out there. The 2021 schedule was out before 2020, that 60 abbreviated game situation even happened. So they were like, we're going. And now all of a sudden they're kind of backtracking that. And I think part of that is, and we'll get back to this, it's a situation where they can say they want to wait for everybody to be tested, but there's a whole situation there. Like the NBA was going back and forth between, do we start the season before Christmas because we have this marquee day, this day that is hours on the sports calendar, Christmas Day, a landmark day for the sport. Do we want to start early so we can hit that date? Or do we want to wait and push back the start of the season to February or March when you're going to have these vaccines out there and maybe we can get some people into the stadiums? The NBA ultimately decided on, let's get the season started. Let's have more of a season. Let's not mess up next season. Let's get that Christmas Day thing going. And that is where the NBA landed. Major League Baseball is trying to say, let's push it back. Let's push it back. I mean, what's it going to be? In the story, there's a point where it talks about playing an 80-game season potentially. I mean, how deflating would that be to come off of? Yeah, there it is right there. Said an American League owner, I don't see any way spring training starts in February. Zero chance of that. I don't care if we play 140, 120, or 80 games. We have to make sure everyone is safe to do this right. Is that really in their heart that they want to make sure everybody is safe, or is it about the financials? And I think it's more about the financials. But, PR, it's better to put it that way. But we don't know what the situation is going to be with a vaccine come March or April. Or let's say we're going to start the season in May. We don't know how long it's going to take for this to get out there. Maybe it's lightning fast, and we're getting everyone vaccinated really quick. Or maybe it takes longer. Or maybe it takes about the track that they're saying. And what they're saying is, the general population isn't really going to start to get access to this thing until the summertime. So starting in May isn't going to do anything, because what are you going to do? Major League Baseball, are you going to go out and buy a bunch of vaccines that you can't give to grandma because you got to give it to Mike Trout? Mike Trout's not going to want that vaccine. So I can't imagine that Major League Baseball is going to try to jump in front of the line to get their season started. They went through the protocols. They have a system in place that by the end of the year was working. You had the big blow up with St. Louis and Miami. They missed a ton of games, but they were able to get it together. I think if you want to push the season back, I don't know, if you want to start it a month later because you just want to see where it's at, but you got to get a firm date. I don't want them pushing it back 30 days and then pushing it back another 30 days. It's just going to mess with the whole thing. I don't want them going into a situation where they make a decision and then they're changing their mind 2 months later, because just make a decision and get it going. You just went through the protocols. It shouldn't be as bad. If you start, let's say you start on May 1st, make that May 1st up. Don't mess around. Let's get spring training going in April, and let's get the regular season started on May 1st. If you do that, you just push it back a month. You can still play a full 162 game season. You can just push everything back. If you want to do another situation where you have, either climate controlled or warm weather playoffs, do that. You know what I mean? Because your playoffs are in November and not in October. Do that. That worked out fine, in my opinion, this past season. I don't think anybody's going to be hurting too much. By then, maybe you will be all good. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But I just feel like they need to make a decision, because if this goes into this big, long, drawn-out thing, if we have a replay of what happened this past summer, it's really going to be bad. It's not going to be good. You have a situation where this is the final year of the CBA. We need to see some kind of, good sign that the owners and the players are kind of on the same page, because you know what happens if you have work stoppage. You know what happens if you alienate the fans. They're gone. And Cal Ripken isn't making a run at the consecutive game streak. And there's no home run race that's right around the corner that everyone care about. So you got to take care of the game. They really got to take care of the game here. So that was one of the big things today that came out. The fact that and again, that having conflicting reports, the owner saying, no way, we're pushing it back. We're not going to be able to play 162. And then you got the players saying, our guys are going to be out there ready to go to report on time. Now, this could all change. We could get close to it, and then you might have Blake Snell, playing MLB The Show on his stream, talking about how he doesn't want to go out there anymore, and you might have players opting out. So we got to get closer. Still far away. But this news to break now, I got to think the reason it could have broken is that somebody's leaking something. This is the beginning, right? There may have been some discussions. They may have had trouble making progress. So they were like, you know what? We got to leak something out there to get somebody motivated, because if they're going to delay the start of the season, if things are going to get pushed back, they are going to have to get that done now. They cannot wait until the last minute. What moves do the Dodgers make this offseason? Bold predictions, people. Well, I'll get bold. We'll have some fun. Bold moves. I think the Dodgers make a big move in the bullpen and somebody that could take that closer role from Kenley Jansen. If they have the opportunity to go and get some, there's a lot of names out there. There's a lot of guys out there that could handle the ninth inning. I mean, they already got one, right? The reliever they got, the name's escaping me. He could slide in to that role. One of the guys that was non-tendered. I remember all the details to it. I'm just blanking on his name. But I think you could see a move with the closer, and I also think they make a move with third base. I just don't know if Justin Turner's back. I think there's an opportunity to make a move. I know in some of the Dodgers videos I've done, I got a lot of people that like Justin Turner. I love Justin Turner. We don't need Arenado. We don't need Chris Bryant. We got Justin Turner. Let's bring him back. But that may not be the way they go. Chris Bryant, listen, Dodger fans, you know Justin Turner. Justin Turner has been in your house for years now. You've watched him play for years. But Chris Bryant's younger. Chris Bryant has a higher ceiling at this point in his career. I know that Nolan Arenado's situation is how much you're going to give up. It's a trade within the division. There's a lot of tangled webs around an Arenado trade. But if they could pull that off and not set themselves back, that'd be big. I think they make a move at third base, and I think they bring in somebody for the closer. Miller time, thank you very much. I appreciate it, brother. So let's get back to so that's it for the whole 2021 thing. Unless anybody else wants to talk about it more, which we can, I am going to move on from that, and we're going to get back into the lineup here. And the next subject I want to talk about is the DJ LeMahieu situation with the Yankees. So the New York Yankees, like, they're at least $25 million apart. Like the story came out at first that they were $25 million apart. Then it was more than $25 million apart. And people are speculating, is it $5 million a year over a 5-year deal? Is it an extra year? Is it instead of 4, is it 5 years? Add that $25 million. Like, there's all speculation about exactly what is it. And whatever it is, the Yankees, in my opinion, need to do this deal. How many guys have been going down, getting injured, missing significant time? This lineup has DJ LeMahieu has been a top 5 MVP vote getter both years he was in New York. He's really comfortable there. That lineup needs him. That team needs him. Go spend the money. End of story. Go spend the money, because what do you do, Yankees fans, if he goes to Toronto? What happens then? Because Toronto's going to start to look like they're leapfrogging you, because you can't count on Judge or Stanton to make it through the year. Sanchez is a mess behind the plate. Who knows what's going on in his head when he's at bat? The pitching rotation last year looked like it was going to be the best pitching rotation ever, and then it turned into injuries with Severino and Paxton, and it was just a mess. And look at it now. It's a mess. They haven't re-signed Paxton. They haven't re-signed Tanaka. So what's going to happen there? You have Cole, Davy Garcia, and then a bunch of shoulder shrugs. I mean, how good do you feel about any of that if you're a Yankee fan? You need to make sure that you have this offense ready to go and score 1 million runs, and DJ LeMahieu is going to help you do that. He adds to your offense. He makes the guy before him better and the guy after him better. So DJ LeMahieu needs to be on that team. I think they should make that deal. $25 million is a lot of money. All these owners right now are uncomfortable because of the financial situation. Money is going to be low to unpredictable. So what are they going to do? I really think that the Yankees need to bite the bullet here. Go get DJ LeMahieu. There's enough money coming off the books by saying goodbye to Paxton. And if they're not bringing Tanaka back, there's enough money here. Do the deal. DJ LeMahieu for other teams, like the Blue Jays, or other teams that he's been rumored to, would be maybe the best signing they can make this offseason. And the Yankees, it's out there that he wants to stay in New York. So don't mess this up. If you're the Yankees, don't mess this up. DJ LeMahieu needs to be back there. If he doesn't go back there, that's really going to hurt them, especially if he stays in the division and ends up in Toronto, because then you can start making the argument, if Toronto can make another move with the rotation, Toronto's creeping up there. So I think that they need to do something with LeMahieu. Homie Cow Gaming, how are you, buddy? Welcome in. Next up, Trevor Bauer. Got to get to Trevor Bauer on the poll that we put out earlier today. Trevor Bauer was the #1 vote getting topic in the poll. So we're going to spend a few minutes on Trevor Bauer here. This Bauer situation is fascinating to me. I think he has such a relationship with his fans because of how out there he is on social media. I think people like some of that cocky nature. He is the Cy Young, so if you're running off of what have you done for me lately, Trevor Bauer has been great. You could argue that he is the best pitcher that's available on the free agent market. So everyone wants to talk about Trevor Bauer. So we're going to spend a few minutes on Trevor Bauer. Let's dive into Bauer real quick. So, according to Spot Track, his value for 2021 is going to be $21 million at a projected salary length of 4 years. Does that go up? I think that goes up because I think it's going to be a fight for Bauer. I don't think it's going to be something where you're going to be the only guy in on him. I think there's 4 or 5 teams in on him. And he just put out that ranking. He just put out that ranking of his top 5 teams, really just based on his social media. Bauer, Anaheim #1. So you got a situation where is that where he's going to go? Is he going to pick the Angels based on the social media recruiting? I don't think so. I have a feeling that there was some hidden motives behind that video. I think he wanted to get out there. It was a great way to get out there. Grabbed a lot of attention. He had the Angels #1 based on social media recruiting. Not based on the pitch he's received from the Angels, but from social media recruiting. Also on that list, if you missed it, were the Mets, the Padres, the Giants, and the Yankees. Let's dissect this for a second. Where's he going to go and win right away? You think the Padres? You think the Yankees? The Mets, maybe, depends on what they're doing. I broke down a Bauer to the Mets situation, and really I think, if the Mets go out and get Lindor or Springer, that'd be great. That'll really bolster that lineup. It's already a competitive lineup. As long as somebody like Dominic Smith doesn't just fall off, it's a competitive lineup. So they needed pitching is what they really needed. The Mets had an ERA of 5, and that really hurt them. Their team ERA was bad. Team ERA of 5, and that was with Jacob deGrom. So the Mets got to figure out the pitching. I know Syndergaard's going to be back, so you hope that something good is happening there. Blue Jay, I hope Jays get LeMahieu. It would certainly it could go towards swinging the balance in the American League East. That's for sure. As a Yankees fan, he's staying in New York, but not necessarily the Yankees. Right. I mean, that's homie Cal. You got to let me know. Do you just when it comes to Yankees and LeMahieu, we're just going to hop back real quick because again, chat, you guys are going to run the conversation. Do you just go get LeMahieu? 25 million, 30 million more? Do you just go get him? I think the Mets should go after Ozuna. The Ozuna situation is interesting because that universal DH thing, though they're saying it's not going to happen in the NL, still kind of up in the air. So I think Ozuna's going to probably wait to see what his options are, unless American League team comes and just knocks his socks off. But this Bauer situation, Padres, they're up and coming, but they got to fight with the Dodgers. The Yankees, if you insert Bauer in there with Garrett Cole, that's nice. You're going to have Severino back eventually. You let Davy Garcia develop. All of a sudden, somebody like Bauer to New York really helps New York. Again, they got to re-sign LeMahieu, though. The Angels got to do something because their problem is they've spent the money on the hitting. Remember, they bring in Albert Pujols. They spent a ton of money on Josh Hamilton years ago. They spend the money to bring Rendon in. They spent the money to keep Trout there. And they're just not winning. They spent the money on Ohtani. It just isn't working out, and it's because of the pitching. They go out and they get the closer, Raisel Iglesias. Solid move right there. They stole him away from the Reds. They gave up nothing. So they have a good closer now. Probably maybe the most underrated closer in baseball, and that's because he's been in Cincinnati. Great closer. They have something brewing with Haney and Canning. But what do you got there? I like Berea as well. They got something brewing there. Ohtani what's the Ohtani situation? Who knows? Nobody knows. and Dylan Bundy. They took a shot on Bundy that worked out for parts of last year. They need the frontline guy. They need the guy that can go out there and say, this stops tonight. You know, they lose 3 in a row. Bauer goes out there. This stops tonight. That's what they need. And that's what Bauer would give them. So whether the Angels jump right in and win right away, that's a great question. But if he wants to go to a team and have a chance to win a World Series in 2021, it's probably the Yankees. But that doesn't mean that's where he's going to go. I mean, he's going to sign a 4 or 5 year deal. You know, the Padres are really on the move. The Mets with Cohen, you got to see where they go. So wherever he goes, it's going to be a good situation. The Giants were competing last year with nobody you really heard of outside of Yastrzemski. So, good list here. Now, the funny thing is, he may not go to any of these teams. That's the funny thing about this. He puts this list out. These are my top 5. He may not go to any of them. He may go to Toronto. Toronto's got $66 million on the books for 2021. That's 20th in baseball. When they talk about the Blue Jays having money to spend, that's why. Is because they've got $66 million. Let's compare it to these 5 other teams. The Giants have $125 million on the payroll. Thanks, Johnny Cueto. They have the Padres have $117 million. The Angels have $151 million. That is 3rd in baseball. The Mets have $124 million on the books. That's 4th in baseball. And the Yankees have $161 million on the books. The Blue Jays have 66. So the Blue Jays have more money to spend. The Blue Jays, a lot of Mets fans are coming saying, we're going to get Bauer. We're going to get Springer. We're going to get a couple of these guys. And it's going to be great. I don't see that happening with $124 million already guaranteed. And I actually don't think that includes the McCann number. And I think the McCann number is right around 8. So let's call it $130 million for the Mets on the books for 2021. I don't see them going and getting both of those guys. The Blue Jays with $66 million only on the books could. You could see them go out and get Bauer and Springer, and they'd be sitting at about 110. There'll still be less than all these other teams. Now, the big question is what's going on this year with the financials. What are certain teams are doing? They're giving up payroll. The Reds gave away Iglesias. All those players that were non-tender, the Twins non-tendering Polanco, the Cubs non-tendering Schwarber. That's all money because they didn't make as much in 2020, and they don't know how much they're going to make in 2021. So the Jays may have $66 million to spend, but it might not mean anything because they may say, you know what? We're going to give ourselves a ceiling of 100. And if that's the case, they're going to get one of them. But do these 5 teams really make the most sense? The Angels need the pitching, yes. The Yankees need to add depth to that rotation, yes. The Giants, I don't know if it makes sense for the Giants yet. And I'll get into that for a second when I break Bauer down. The Padres, sure, yes, they need to compete with the Dodgers. So, yes, go and get them. The Mets need to compete right now in the National League East, so yes, go and get it. But if you're like a year or 2 away, I don't think Bauer is your move. So that's why maybe the Giants, I think, are out, and maybe too so should the Blue Jays, because the Blue Jays are not going to win the World Series in 2021. It's just not going to happen. If they did feel like they were that close, then sure, maybe go and get it. Let's look at Bauer, because that I think is really this is the thing about Bauer. And I don't mean I don't want to talk down about the guy. He plays, I don't. But here's the situation. In 2018, he was great. 2020, he was great. Won the Cy Young. But those are the only 2 years he's been a top line starter. Those are the only 2 years he's been an ace. That is 7 other seasons in his career that he has posted an ERA over 4. That's a problem. So he's had a couple of good years. That's great. But it's not like he's got a long track record of being great. And that is my worry with Trevor Bauer is the track record. He's done it a couple of times. He has, for the majority of his career, he's got an ERA over 4, a walk rate per 9 over 3. It's the guy that you're going to get might not be the guy you saw in 2020. Now, I trust Baseball HQ for a lot of my stuff. Ron Shandling, baseballhq.com. I don't have a partnership with them. I just love to use their stuff. In the mail today, got the baseball forecaster. I think we're going to break this down. One of these live streams, we'll get into some forecasts for 2021, some projections. So I trust what they say. They really do their homework. They're researchers on Bauer, and this is the argument for Bauer, that everything's going to be all right. Is that he got back to that 2018 version because he tightened up his arsenal and he added more RPMs to all of his pitches, spinning it, right? That increased spin rate boosted the swinging strikes. Now, his hit percent went down, which is good, and his strike percent went way up. So those are probably going to regress a little bit, but the expected ERA, the xERA, suggests that he's legit, right? So for reference, his career hit percentage is 29%. Last year, it dipped down to 23%. And his strike percent, for his career, he's a 76% average, and it was at 90. So, we'll see what happens with the Trevor Bauer situation. I think that there is, ultimately, he kind of needs one more year to prove that this is who he is now. But whoever signs him isn't going to get that luxury of seeing him for one more year. They're going to have to commit to him for 4 or 5 seasons. And if he goes back to the Trevor Bauer that's got an ERA of 4.5 and he's chucking the ball over the center field wall because he's pissed off, that's going to set your team back. That's the only thing I worry about with Trevor Bauer. I think there are some other names that some teams could go and get, not have to spend as much money, not have to put out for as long, and they could compete with that crew. All right, let me get back to the chat. I want to again, you guys are going to drive the conversation here. No chance DJ would go to San Diego. He wants to stay east, for whatever reason. He's got his reasons. He wants to stay east. What name do you think Cleveland is going to change to? So I did the poll. I'm going to pull it up right now. Guys, if you're checking this out, if you're a sub, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're here. If you're not a subscriber, I'm glad that you're here as well. Take time to subscribe because we're building a great community here. And listen, it's not just going to be me. If you've already been on the channel, little detour here. If you've already been on the channel, you've seen Hum Baby Baseball. Come on here. You're going to see more of him. We're actually working on a bottom of the 10th Ken Burns rewatch. That's going to be recorded tomorrow, and it'll be up on the site in a couple days. You're going to see him. I'm working on some other guys that I want to bring a bunch of people into this. It's not just going to be me, just people that you're going to be able to, you're going to see that they have their own channels. I like working with people. It's going to be a joint effort. So subscribe because you're going to see a lot of different faces on here over time as we continue to build this thing. But here's the thing, the Cleveland Indians, the next nickname for Cleveland, I put it out there. I put Spiders, Buckeyes, and tongue-in-cheek Steamers. I honestly, Spiders got the most support on the poll. 54% of the 138 votes went Spiders. 20% went other. I kind of like Buckeyes. I like that it would be an homage to the Negro League teams because that was they were the Cleveland Buckeyes. I just like that idea. I think it would be nice to pay homage to your history, to the history of not just baseball, but that area, a forgotten history in some aspects, that this would be an opportunity to shed light because there were a lot of great players that nobody knew about. I would be, Kevin, all right, I'm glad you're with me. I'm glad you guys are with me on that. I like Buckeyes. I know that you've already got Ohio State with that name, but it doesn't matter. It's a different sport. I don't think anybody would think that that Cleveland is stealing the Buckeye name from Ohio State, that they weren't being creative. I think you could do something good with that, and I would like them to go that way. And that would probably be, in my mind, be the best way to go. I don't love the idea of Spiders. That's out there. I think most people like the idea of Spiders. I'm not a big fan of that. I like Buckeyes. Let's take a look at next on the list. Let's take a look at George Springer because he popped up in the news again today. George Springer is on the mind of new Mets GM Jared Porter. He likes him. He wants to bring him in. You know, it would certainly make that offense potent. I mean, he's maybe one of the brightest hitters we got, as long as there isn't a garbage can situation going on in the background. He's a big hitter. He likes to be up in the big moment. If you want your team to be heading down the road of a playoff contender year in and year out, you're going to want somebody with some experience in that arena, and he certainly has that, albeit 2017 is tainted. He spent a lot of time in the playoffs. He's got 19 homers in 63 games and 895 OPS. So Springer is interesting. He's kind of mentioned with everybody, though. And my issue about him going to the Mets, I mentioned it earlier. Listen, here's the lineup. I want to throw this up real quick. I mean, that's a nice lineup. Springer leading off, followed by McNeil and Alonso, Conforto. You can get a nice righty-lefty situation going here. That could be deadly. But a Springer to the Mets situation, as cool as that would be, they could score 100 runs. And I think they saw last year that they can hit the ball all over the park, but they have to be able to pitch. The team ERA was over 5. They scored their OPS. In the OPS, they were in the top 5 of the Major League Baseball, all baseball for OPS. They were the only one of those teams that didn't make the playoffs, and that's because the team ERA was over 5. So the Mets could go get Springer. That's great, but does it really help the team immediately? And I think that's why you saw them go get somebody like McCann. And I know my lineup's old. I had Nito in here, so this lineup was done a couple days ago before the McCann situation, so I apologize for that. Obviously, McCann's in there, and probably McCann's hitting above Rosario. But the situation is the pitching. They got to make sure that they have the pitching. How good is Stroman going to be? Blue Jay fans will tell you there was no love lost giving up Marcus Stroman. DeGrom is a horse. He's going to be out there all the time. I just worry that if the Mets do too much with the hitting, they're not going to be able to do enough with the pitching. Again, they have one of the highest payrolls in Major League Baseball. We know Cohen is going to be okay spending money, but he's not going to be foolish with the money. I would rather the Mets go get Bauer than Springer, because that would help the Mets win right away. You're going to have, I think you still have a question mark with Stroman. I think you have a question mark with Syndergaard. How good is he going to be? That's an issue. He's coming back from missing a year. Homie Cow, the McCann thing. That lineup is. I did that a day before. I haven't updated it since McCann, but obviously McCann would be in there over Nito. So you'd have a situation where you got to address the pitching. First and foremost, I think they need to address the pitching. If they could get Springer after they figure out another starter, great. But they have to take care of that pitching because you've got DeGrom. If you can get Bauer, your rotation all of a sudden has DeGrom and Bauer at the top. You can move Stroman to 3 or 4, and you have Syndergaard, the other, is 3 or 4. Takes a little pressure off those guys. And if you have injuries, if you have Syndergaard not perform, maybe he doesn't pitch well, there's not as much pressure on him because they've got 2 great guys at the top. And conversely, if Bauer is struggling to start, he won't feel as much pressure as long as Stroman and Syndergaard are picking up the slack. So it just makes a lot of sense for the Mets to do pitching first. And I think that McCann signing is important. I think that McCann signing shows kind of where Cohen is thinking with this team, because they could have gone out and spent the money on JT Realmuto, but I think he understood that he felt McCann was going to be a better option at catcher. So, I mean, Realmuto is a good catcher too, but I think he felt McCann was going to be the better play, and obviously, save some money. Didn't have to spend as much money. I think I saw on, MLB Network this morning, the $100 million was the difference between signing McCann and Realmuto. So, they saved some money there. So that's a situation. I think that Springer, where does he go? Yeah, he's mentioned with the Blue Jays, but everybody's mentioned with the Blue Jays. He's mentioned with Boston. I feel like it's really kind of between Boston and the Mets and the Blue Jays. Maybe there's a surprise. Maybe he goes to Texas. Texas, I don't know why. It seems like they are thinking about spending money. They got a new ballpark. No one's going to be allowed in for a little bit, but the George Springer situation is interesting, and how long that goes, could be telling. I mean, we're a few months into this now, and we haven't had any of these big names really go off the board. So we'll kind of see where Springer lands. But I think for the Mets to go and get him, great, but make sure you got your pitching squared away. And again, they don't have to spend a ton of money. There are some good names out there that they could get. They could go get Chris Archer. And can they get Chris Archer to back into that Tampa Bay form? And they're not going to have to pay Chris Archer a ton of money. They're not going to have to give him a 5-year deal. There's a few guys out there. You got Matt Shoemaker. You got James Paxton. You got Chris Archer. There's other names that I'm forgetting about that you could go and get for, I don't know, 1 or 2 years, not a ton of money, maybe $10 million a year, because those are going to be guys that maybe need to feel like they have to prove themselves again, that they can be elite, so that they can go and get the big money. Homie Con Gaming. No, Kevin, I'm sorry. Kevin, where do you think Lindor is heading? At the end of the day, if you've been on the channel, you've seen some videos. I did a video about him being traded to the Mets. I felt like the Mets should do a trade. About the Blue Jays too, about the Jays doing a trade for Lindor. But this is one of those situations where, because of the financials, because you got owners now talking about pushing the start of the season back to make sure everyone's got the COVID vaccine and is healthy. Again, we talked about that at the top. A lot of you guys are here now that weren't there before. That whole thing trying to get the start of the season once everyone's got a vaccine is just a PR nightmare, because not everyone's going to have the vaccine or have been vaccinated by March or April or May, and you're going to have Major League Baseball jump to the front of the line. It'll be a disaster. But with the owners already tipping their hand that they're kind of uncomfortable with this whole situation with the financials, let's push it back. We don't know how much money we're going to make. We're losing money. That's what all of that makes me start to think that a Lindor deal might not happen. And if it does happen, it'll be at the trading deadline. Now that will hurt the Indians because they will not be able to get nearly as much. But the problem is, there's really only a couple of teams that are going to be like, all right, we're going to go trade for Lindor. We're going to give up, an MLB ready talent, a prospect, and something else. We're going to go get Lindor. We're going to sign on for that $20 million that he's going to be making this year, and we're going to sign him for a 10-year deal. He's 27 or 28 this year. He's going to be demanding a 10-year deal, a Mike Trout, a Bryce Harper length deal. Maybe not the same money, but the same years. So Lindor's going to be asking for a lot of money. Now, the Dodgers last year did it with Mookie Betts, but they're the Dodgers. They're in Los Angeles. So you really got to think that if Lindor's going anywhere, it's going to be a major market, or it's just not going to happen at all. And it'll happen at the trading deadline, and they'll get less back. But there, I think, are going to be not many teams that are willing to right now say, yeah, let's go get a guy, give up some prospects, and we'll drop $30 million over 10 years. I just don't see anybody making that decision right now. Now, is he one of the best talents? He's huge. If Justin Turner leaves, then Lindor will be a Dodger. I mean, hey, you never know. I mean, the Dodgers do have Kershaw's money coming off the books in a couple years, but they might want to re-sign him. But even when his money comes off the books, you got Seager, you got Bellinger. I don't think they're going to want to let them go. The Dodger situation is fascinating. So I think that, but the Lindor situation is just, it's complex right now because of the financial state of Major League Baseball and how the owners are looking at this. I don't know. I mean, you kind of then, I think what you do outside of looking at the teams that have, the major market, the ability to spend, you kind of look at 2021. I'm going to look at the 21 payrolls. You start to look at who's ready to compete and hasn't put all their chips in yet. Who's still got money? And I'm going down to the bottom of the list here. So you've got, this is ridiculous. Cleveland has $52 million on the books. Now they still got to go through arbitration with some guys, so that number goes up. But they got $52 million on the books right now. Like, you can't afford Francisco Lindor. Come on, Cleveland. Like, this is a cornerstone guy. This gets me to my other point about Lindor. He's a cornerstone guy. He's somebody you don't trade. He's somebody you build around. Okay, so you got a situation where you don't want to have to pay him, but you're giving up on the next few years. And I just think it's silly. The Cleveland has $52 million on the books right now for next year. Again, they're going to have some arbitration, so that number will rise. But they're not at the top of that list. But they're going through some hard times, right? That's the situation. And that's why I think a Lindor trade might not happen until the All-Star break. I'm sorry, the trading deadline, All-Star break. Let's hope we have an All-Star break. Other teams that are competing, Oakland, they don't spend a lot of money. We know that. Tampa doesn't spend a lot of money. They're in the bottom third. Really, you got Milwaukee is at $63 million for 2021. Again, all these numbers are before some of these arbitration hearings and such. The Blue Jays are at 66. Arizona's at 63. And then you get over, over 100. You get Cincinnati's at 108, but where are they going? They're not spending money this year. The Braves are at 110. Could they absorb it? Do they want to do that? They got Swanson. San Francisco feel like he could be the difference maker. That's the other thing. Let's look back at this. And I'm going to go back to Toronto because Toronto's got $66 million. They could absorb it. Toronto just went through a situation in professional sports where they made a trade for a guy, gave up a big piece, and said, we're doing this. We don't know if we're going to sign him, but it gives us a chance to win a championship. Does Lindor give the Blue Jays a chance to win a championship? And that's the question. They didn't re-sign Kawhi, so that was over. But I guess you got to start to think about, does it give the Blue Jays a chance to win a championship? Let me get back to some of the comments because I want to keep up on this. Chris Bryant, Dodgers third base. Chris Bryant. We got some comments about Chris Bryant. So the thing about Bryant for LA, because that's the comment from Fear of the Unknown, how much money you have to give him? You won't have to give him Nolan Arenado money. So if you go and get Chris Bryant, you don't have the same money that Nolan Arenado is making, right? You could probably pay Bryant like $10 million less per year, which helps you down the road when you're trying to re-sign Springer and Bellinger and those guys. So Bryant makes more sense financially, and he's not in your division. So, right now there's a hole unless they feel like, they're gonna roll with Rios over there. They could slide Muncy over there and give the full-time second base gig to Gavin Lux and have they could move so many pieces around. The Dodgers could, but if they go get Chris Bryant, it's out of the division. So if you're giving up a top prospect, if you're giving up Hosey or you're giving up Ruiz to get Chris Bryant, you're not giving him up to a division rival, and the money is less. So that's my thinking about Chris Bryant with the Dodgers. I'm a Dodger fan. As a baseball fan, I hope he re-signs with Cleveland. Trade Ramirez for Lindor. Miller time, I'm with you on the Lindor situation. Francisco Lindor should stay in Cleveland as long as possible. And I hope I've made myself clear on that. Thoughts on David Dahl signing with Texas and Lance Lynn with the White Sox? So I love the signing, David Dahl in Texas. If you play fantasy baseball, David Dahl needs to be a sleeper on your team. Don't draft him too early, but if you play fantasy baseball, David Dahl is going to be a good one. Look at David Dahl's numbers. What's happened is you had 2020. You had a 60-game season when players just sucked for a little bit, right? You have slumps. You have slumps that go 2 months long. Paul Goldschmidt is notorious for some of those slumps, but you didn't have 100 more games to get out of that slump. So, Schwarber, same thing. So that's the problem with 2020. We're now evaluating guys off of a 60-game season, when if you look back at what they did in 2019, Chris Bryant's another great example. Chris Bryant was great in 2019, and he had too many ailments in 2020. So Chris Bryant, now all of a sudden, it's like, Chris Bryant, let's trade Chris Bryant. Nobody really wants Chris Bryant. Like, it's crazy to me. So you got a whole situation there. I love David Dahl going to Texas. He falls in that category of not a great 2020, but he's really good. And I think if full 160-game season, David Dahl in Texas could be really good. Lance Lynn is a great addition for the White Sox. I did a video a few weeks ago about Blake Snell potentially being traded to the White Sox. That's off the table now, I think, but the whole idea of that remains the same. The White Sox have the bats. They needed to go out and get the pitching. They need to make sure that they have two guys that you don't want to face back-to-back in a short series. So they needed to do that. I think the Lance Lynn deal makes the White Sox a World Series contender. I think that this season is World Series. I mean, you're getting to the point now, if you're a White Sox fan, where you got to get to the World Series. Otherwise, the season is going to be a disappointment. That's how good the team is. That's where they're at. Every team is at a different point in their maturity. Some teams just want to finish 500. Some teams just want to make the playoffs. The White Sox are beyond that now. Now they need to get to the World Series, and if they don't do that, it'll be a disappointment. Lance Lynn helps them get there. Let's keep going here. I'm going back through because, again, like I said, from the top, I want you guys to drive the conversation. The lineup we got over here, that's, we'll get back to that in a minute. Let's see. What do we got? Last year, big sleeper for me and then got injured. Right. I think it'd be good going forward in 2020 or 2021. I think the Jays getting Lindor for Gurriel and prospects, then signing Brantley to replace Gurriel would be a good offseason for the Jays. I did one on Friday about Lindor to Toronto, and my opinion, I would love for Lourdes Gurriel to stay with the Blue Jays because I think there's a lot of good years left for Lourdes Gurriel. He's only going to be 27 or 28 in 2021. So there's a lot of good years. He's entering his prime. I love Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and what he could be. Now, that being said, we know what Francisco Lindor is today. So obviously the Blue Jays would be getting an upgrade there. But I would hate, as a Jays fan, to see Gurriel go to Cleveland and start putting up the numbers that I think he could get to, and the Blue Jays don't have that. I would love, just selfishly, I would rather the Blue Jays send Grichuk, and I'm fine with them giving up a top 5 or top 10 prospect. I'm fine with Jordan Groshans. I know that some Blue Jay fans are like, what are you talking about? You're insane. But here's the thing. We haven't seen Groshans at the major league. We haven't seen Groshans above A ball yet. There are plenty of first-round guys that completely flame out. So I'm all for a trade to happen. I hope that it can leave Gurriel on the team, and they can find a way to make a deal with maybe Grichuk going back with a couple of prospects. And I understand that would mean probably have to give up a top-tier prospect and then maybe something down the line a little bit. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Will the Dodgers sign Turner? Listen, I have no insight. I'm not calling the Dodgers. I'm not talking to the Dodgers, but I don't think so. I think if they were really anxious to bring Turner back, that deal would have happened quickly, and he's not back there yet. Thinking on Springer and Bauer sign Odorizzi. The Odorizzi market's picking up. That's the word today, is that the market's picking up. There's a bunch of teams in on him. You've got the Jays, the Twins, Padres, Red Sox, Mets, everybody in on Jake Odorizzi, because he's not going to cost you a lot of money, and there's the potential for him to deliver you a good season. It's one of the reasons, a side note, why I like the Blue Jays bringing Robbie Ray back, because he didn't cost a lot of money, and he has as much upside as these top-tier pitchers that are available on the free agent market. Rays should keep Snell and sign Bauer. The problem is the Rays just don't want to spend money. They've never wanted to spend money. And Snell's going to get to a point where they're uncomfortable with that salary. So the sooner you trade Snell, the more you can get back. And they love to replenish that system. That's where they're at. The Rays know they can't compete by dropping $125 million a year in the bucket. It's not going to happen. So they have to get rid of these guys and get a lot back. And Snell is at a prime point. He just pitched his ass off in the World Series. He didn't get the chance, right? So I think a lot of teams would be high on Blake Snell right now. Yankees could trade Voit, Andujar, Enter Frazier, and Clark Schmidt to the Indians. I mean, would you do that deal? There's some talk about Voit getting traded. I think the Yankees would be out of their mind to trade Luke Voit right now with all the control that he still has. So I would like them to hold on to Voit. I'm a Blue Jays fan. So, hey, listen, I guess truthfully, sure, go ahead and trade Luke Voit. But I would if I'm a Yankees fan, looking at this analytically, I would not want to trade Voit, especially with the question mark of DJ LeMahieu. Could you imagine losing the home run champ and the batting average champ in the same season because of a trade? Now, you do have a situation where the outfield does seem kind of flooded right now. So maybe there's a Frazier and Schmidt and another prospect to the Indians. That might be able to get it done. Rays can't afford them. Let's get down here. White Sox need to sign Hendricks and Brantley from Bryce. I feel like the White Sox do still need a closer. They need a closer, and I think getting Eaton probably rules them out of Brantley. But I do think, they do. This is not my thought. This is just everybody knows the White Sox need to get a closer. And Hendricks would be the best one out there. Now, they could bring Colmay back. He was good for you last year. LeSavage Gamer, will the Dodgers sign Bauer? I don't think so. I think they have so much. I think that David Price salary plays into the situation. So I don't think so. Maybe if David Price decides to opt out again and that $30 million is off the books, then maybe they go get Bauer. But they're not going to know if David Price is opting out until the last minute. Will the Dodgers get George Springer? I don't see it. I don't see that happening. Love for the Mets to trade for Lindor from David there. Again, I had the video about it. It makes sense, but you can't do that at the expense of improving pitching. That's the situation. If they get Lindor, and then that means that they can't improve the pitching, because they just need some security with that rotation. I feel like Stroman is a question mark. Syndergaard coming off the injury is a question mark. Now, those guys could come and pitch lights out, and that'd be great. But heading into the season, when the expectations are starting to elevate, I just feel like if they can get Lindor, they've got prospects to do it. And they're deep enough at the major league level too to be able to give up a piece there. They could do it. And Lindor would be an upgrade over anything that they gave away. Miller Time, good choice. Blue Jays, good choice for a team. What are you talking about? What do you mean for Snell? Let me know. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you so much. Let's see. Are you talking about Snell for the Blue Jays? The Rays are so analytical with everything. They really, I would really be surprised to see a situation where they would trade in the division. So that would be tough. But let me know what you're thinking there. And Bryce, Sox could have Brantley platoon with Jimenez in left and DH. I like the idea of a balanced lineup these days with the righties and the lefties, and Brantley would certainly do that. That would give them another lefty bat, because right now the lefty bats for the White Sox, you've got Eaton, you've got Moncada, you've got Grandal, and you have to help me if I'm forgetting anybody, but those are the main guys. So bringing in Brantley gives you another piece, and we've seen with the Dodgers the value of having the ability to shuffle the lineup depending on if it's a righty or lefty on the mound. So, that would, if they can have the money, if they have the money for it, sure. But definitely the closer situation. If they can get Colomé back cheaper than they would have to spend for Hendricks, maybe that would leave some money to add depth with Brantley. Do you think the Dodgers roster is good enough to win another World Series? I do. They obviously would need to bring Turner back. I think that they would miss him greatly. But in my opinion, they have two of the top at least 10 position players on their team with Bellinger and Betts. Seager, remember when Seager came up? Like, he was a god. He was one of those god prospects. And then he kind of got hurt, and then he wasn't performing, but he came back big time this past year. So the Dodgers have all the talent. And the pitching, they have a blend of experience / age and youth. So I really think that there's a good chance that the Dodgers are going to be favored in the National League West. And if I were to do a way too early prediction to win the National League, have the best record, I would probably pick the Dodgers, but there's still a lot that has to happen between now and then. David, interested in what's going on with DJ? I heard the Mets were in the mix as well. You know, any New York team is in the mix right now. DJ has said that he wants to stay in New York. The Mets have an opening at second base. Robinson Cano. So they could have him play second base. The Mets kind of need the universal DH. That's another issue with them going out and bringing in a big bat is they kind of need a universal DH situation. They're gonna have a lot of guys that they won't be able to play because they're deep on offense right now. Where do you think Eddie Rosario ends up going? That's Danny. That's a good question. You know, his money situation. You know, that's why he's gone from Minnesota. He was good. I kind of get back to who's ready to compete and doesn't have like a top 10 payroll situation. So that would mean to me, that would rule out for Rosario, that would rule out Dodgers, Yankees, Angels, Mets, Astros, Red Sox, Cubs, Phillies, you know, and then we start to get to some teams. You know, the Nationals have a lot of money on the books, but they need him. But will the Nationals spend money? They're out there saying they are not going for Real Muto or Bryant. I hate to say it. You know, I don't know if David is in here watching, but I do not feel good about what the Nationals are doing. You've got, you know, San Francisco could be a fit if they feel like he's the next piece. You've got Arizona. I think Arizona could be a fit. I think Kansas City has spent about as much money as they're going to spend. So, you know, Arizona's sitting at $63 million right now. They're going to have some arbitration that they have to put out, but still it could be Arizona, it could be Milwaukee. You know, Texas, I feel like Texas would take a one-year flyer on him. It really just depends on what Rosario wants. Does Rosario just want to get back on a team and take a one-year deal and prove himself and try to get something long-term? Or, you know, does he want something long-term right now? It's really going to depend on what he's thinking. But I think just some teams that make some sense off the bat. I think the Brewers could be something. The Diamondbacks could be something. Texas could be something to watch out for. And then some other teams that are just going to spend money to put something out there. Again, if he's willing to take a one-year deal, does Miami make a move? Does Pittsburgh make a move? Does Baltimore make a move just to get a one-year deal? Again, that's just Rosario. Does he take a one-year deal or does he want something for multi-year? DJ could play third. DJ could play anywhere on the infield, anywhere but short. He could play first, second, or third for anybody. Do you hear about the Indians changing their names to Spiders? You know, we were talking about that earlier. That's kind of that's really got the most momentum just out there in the universe, is that it'll go to Spiders. You know, I was saying earlier I would like it to be Buckeyes, but we'll kind of see what they do. We know that they're going to go with Indians for the 2021 season, which is interesting because we saw what Washington did. They got rid of Redskins and they went with the Washington football team. The Cleveland wasn't going to do that, so they're going to stick with Indians. It's kind of it's really just a PR grab to say, hey, we're changing the name. Not right now. So I don't really know what's going on there. It's like the Braves saying, we're going to take a look at the chop. What are you doing? Bryce, just subscribe. Keep what you're doing. Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate that. Stay close. We're really diving into baseball this offseason. We're talking about this. I'm planning to come back at least once a week. It'll be midweek like this is. It'll be like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, just because right now I don't want to compete with Monday Night Football. I don't want to compete with Thursday Night Football. The weekends can get kind of hectic, so we're kind of targeting a Tuesday, Wednesday when things are a little bit slower. But always, when a big news happens, big deal breaks, big deal happens, we come back on. We'll do something live whenever Bauer signs or Springer signs. We'll be back on quick. David, hey guys, give me some space because I'm gonna fantasize DJ playing third for the Braves. I mean, hey, they listen. Here's the thing about the Braves, right? They went out and got Donaldson. They lose Donaldson, and then kind of out of nowhere they went out and got Ozuna. Alex Anthopoulos is a great GM, a great president of baseball ops, whatever his title is there in Atlanta. He used to be doing that in Toronto. And you see in the lineup, Jays talk is down there. I'm a Jays fan. I loved when Alex Anthopoulos was with Toronto. I loved the moves he made. When Shapiro came in, he busted Anthopoulos' chops about how could you give up Jeff Hoffman and Daniel Norris for David Price and Troy Tulowitzki. Have you seen what Daniel Norris and Jeff Hoffman have done? Like, the Blue Jays could go and get back them for a rake and a grounds crew member. Those guys have done nothing. I am not a fan of holding on to your prospects if you can go and get somebody who's proven it and can help you win right now. So I like Alex Anthopoulos. He is he makes moves. So it is not crazy, David, to say that LeMahieu could end up in Atlanta. Now, we know he wants to stay in New York. We'll see if the Yankees have ticked him off enough to where he starts to go out somewhere else. I do trust he's earned it. He really has, man. Alex Anthopoulos is the man. David, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Love the channel. Love you answer the questions. Listen, like I said from the top, you guys are going to run the show. If we get to a point where this thing has a couple hundred viewers, then we're gonna figure something else out, because I do want you guys to talk. This is for us to talk. That's what we're doing here. David, you also said I'm a Washington football team fan, not a fan of their current name. David, what do you want it to be? Let me ask you that. What do you want the team name to be? I was thinking that they could go with like Warriors, but then does it stay too close to what it was before? Let me know. What are you thinking? Hey, David, welcome in, buddy. David Morales, let me know. What do you want the Redskins, the Red Wolves? I mean, it would be cool if they could figure something out to where they could keep that HTTR thing going, right? Like, that's the hashtag all the time. Can you keep hail to the Red Wolves or Red Wings or Reds or something like that? Like, that's interesting. Yes, this is David all the way. David Damascus, David Knight, David Morales. So anyway, yeah, that's interesting. That'd be an interesting idea. MLB season might get delayed to May. Yes, LeSavage Gamer. Let me jump back at the beginning. Because we got a lot of people in here that weren't here at the top. The 2021 season situation, that is out there, that it could get delayed until May. You've got owners in the Bob Nightengale story saying that, they may not play 160, 120. It might come down to 80, which would be incredibly deflating if it's just an 80-game season. That would just be too disappointing. So you have a whole situation there where they're talking about delaying the season to May because they want the players to have the vaccine. But the PR hit that Major League Baseball would take if the league jumped in front of grandma to get the COVID vaccine because we want to play baseball, when we just played baseball in a pandemic a few months ago. Now we don't want to play baseball and we got to get our guys ahead. I mean, they were already taking a hit because of the testing. You remember to talk about testing. Well, how are all these professional athletes getting testing? Like that was a thing. People weren't happy about that. Could you imagine if Major League Baseball jumps ahead in the vaccine. That they just can't do that. So that's out there. I'm disappointed by it. You had, you had shots fired today. Basically, you had owners saying we're going to have to delay. You had players. You had Scott Boras out there disputing MLB's assertion that they lost money, that they didn't lose money, they just lost profit. And then the MLBPA senior director Bruce Meyer out there saying that, to be clear, as we have made clear to the league, players are planning on showing up on time to spring training for a full 162 game season, as set forth in the CBA and the league's previously issued schedule. Major League Baseball got that 2021 schedule out there before they started playing 2020. So now they want to backtrack it. I mean, we all knew that there was this wave coming. So they could have held on. That whole move to put out that 2021 schedule was a total publicity stunt. It was them banging their chest like, we're only giving you 60 this year, fans, but we are going to give you a full 162 next year. And this is how confident we are. We're putting the schedule out now. And guess what? Now they're backtracking. Bad look for the owners. And the players can look good here. The players can look good. They're out there saying, we're ready to go. We will be there right away on spring training. We're ready to report. So I think you have something going on. You have something going on there. Do you think, Danny, do you think the Marlins return to the postseason this upcoming season? I like where the Marlins are headed. I definitely think they benefited from the shortened season. I think they can compete, but the National League East is tough. And one of the reasons that they made the playoffs is that the Mets had issues. If the Mets are able to resolve their issues, we know the Nats are going the wrong way, but the Braves are going to be there year in and year out. The Mets are going to try to fix their issues. We'll see what the Phillies do. If Dombrowski brings a new attitude and all of a sudden he's making trades for Babe Ruth with Zach Wheeler and all that stuff, then, hey, you know what? Maybe the Phillies are in it. It's going to be tough for the Marlins on a full 162. They're close, though. In one of my videos, I don't remember when it was a few weeks ago, talking about the situation in the National League East. The Marlins are close. Sixto Sanchez is one of the most exciting pitchers in baseball. As long as he doesn't get hurt, there's a lot to be excited about with the Marlins. I love watching Sixto Sanchez. Sixto time is one of my favorite times of day. So I think that you've got a situation where the Marlins are getting close. They're probably a year or two away. Plus, Gonzalez, you mentioned it. Gonzalez, you mentioned it. Until they expand the playoffs again. Right. One of the reasons they got in was because they let half the league in. That's not going to happen again. So that's going to be less teams making the playoffs, a full 162, or maybe they do 140. I think that's going to hurt their chances, but I do think that they are getting closer. I like what they're going. They have a ton of great prospects. Jazz Chisholm is going to be really good. Brian Anderson is solid over there at third base. Again, I love Sixto Sanchez. I think he's great. There's just a lot of good talent coming. David, every team is crying poor this offseason. Also, I think COVID is the reason for the slow. You got that. I mean, the slow marketplace is definitely the COVID situation. The uncertainty on the revenue is definitely slowing everything down. And whether teams are crying poor or just in their minds, if you owned a business, you're going to do everything you can to keep that business afloat, keep it profitable, minimize the loss. And that's what some of these guys are doing. But they own a baseball team. You're going to have some loss to a point, to a degree. Hi, Domenico. Hi, sir. I can see the Mets signing Springer and Odorizzi and more bullpen help. Bauer going to San Diego or Angels. So we talked about it a little bit earlier. I'm all for the Mets adding another bat, Springer or Lindor or, LeMahieu, but they can't do it at the expense of the pitching. So somebody like Odorizzi could be a nice addition. They don't have to spend a ton of money on Bauer. You could go get Odorizzi and Archer or Odorizzi and Shoemaker, something like that. Get a couple guys that'll go out there and give you quality innings. I think that could be something there. Is Bauer going to San Diego or the Angels? San Diego, between San Diego and the Angels, I think San Diego is closest to competing, to winning, though the Angels wouldn't be too far behind with Bauer. David, probably looks like a 140-game schedule if they start May. That is the word. That's the talk. I mean, and I can do 140. I can't do 80. The ball cap and ball cap sports is coming off, and I'm eating it if they play 80 games. I don't. I can't do it. I just don't want to do it again. It's too depressing. Come on. The NBA is going. The NBA is going. NFL's getting through it, right? Major League Baseball, I know you play a ton more games, but you're looking bad. All right, Nationals have to go for it in 2023. The bill, all that deferred money comes due. The thing with the Nats, I don't know. I live in the DC area, so I'm exposed to the Nats a ton. I want them to be good because it's nice to go to a baseball game with great players. But right now, the Nats, you got Scherzer, you got Strasburg, you've got Soto, and you've got Turner. Robles, we got to see if Robles can take another step. I don't know if Davey is. Listen, he just won a World Series, so it's sacrilege to say that is he the right guy for the job. I don't know. Is he the right guy for this team? The lineups he was putting out last year, the fact that you didn't see more Carter Keyboom raises questions to me. They just let everybody go. Everybody that they had an option on, they said, see ya. So the financial situation of Washington is an issue. If the Nats are struggling in 2021, hold on a minute. Let me get back to the Savage game. Do you think LA will go against San Diego in the playoffs again? I mean, the playoffs are tough to predict, but they're certainly going to have a chance. I think those two teams could finish 1 and 2 in the division. David, if the Nats are struggling in 2021 and Scherzer is doing well, trade him and get what they can for him. I don't want to lose him and get nothing like we did for Harper and Rendon. That's the thing. Nats fans it's just burned, right? You're burned from Harper for nothing. You're burned from Rendon for nothing. The thing is about Scherzer now, right? You're starting to get a little bit of worry about age. He's not a spring chicken anymore. He's getting up there into his 30s. I don't know how much they could get for him, but they should try to do something. That or make a move this offseason with the thought in mind that we can make this move because the Scherzer deal is coming off the books and we have no intention of resigning him and the trade market is too weak for him. That's the stuff that Rizzo's got to know. David, Liam Hendricks is another one on the Mets radar. Diaz was okay last year. 2019, he blew up. He was okay last year. Do you trust him? I think the Mets do need to make some move to have an insurance policy because if the Mets are going to go for it, they can't go for it with a closer that can't get the job done. Should Ohtani just be one way, pitcher or hitter? I'm at the point now where I think he should just hit. It's not working as a pitcher. I think he should just hit. That's my opinion. That's my feeling, Danny. David, I'm a Nats fan. Personally think Dave Martinez is an average manager. Our starting pitcher just stepped up. Right. Exactly. You finally saw what can happen with Strasburg and stay healthy. But the problem is Strasburg isn't healthy all the time. Strasburg has extended I did research on this. If you go back to one of the first videos I ever posted, I said, and I just got like 20 views, I said that I wanted the Nats to keep Rendon. And it's okay if Strasburg goes away. And the reason is because Strasburg's coming off the most innings he's ever pitched. And if you look at his career, every time you go back and see Strasburg, every time he comes off a career high in innings, he's got an extended DL stint. Now, the good news is 2020 was kind of a wash, whatever, right? So you hope he comes back in 2021 and he's ready to go. But Rendon, that lineup without Rendon for the Nats looks terrible. So, and if you still had him, it's a whole different lineup. It's a whole different team. That production was just too much to replace with Starlin Castro and Eric Thames and trying to get Howie Kendrick to step up. So I do think that, Martinez is okay as a manager. Like you said, David, at average. Yep. And yeah, starting pitching was incredible, and they had some really clutch hitting, and that was it. That's how they did it. Now you really see how Davey is as a manager, as they're going to struggle now. Bryce, the NFL is doing a great marketing by having a game on Nickelodeon to get young kids into the sport. Wish MLB would do stuff like this to get more people, especially the younger generation, into the game. So, MLB is doing what they can. You got games on Facebook. You got games on YouTube. They're doing things like that. If they really want to get the younger generation into the game, I think more doubleheaders. Because I have a 6-year-old son, and he's getting into baseball, and it's the coolest thing to watch. My kid's getting into baseball. He likes watching baseball. He likes talking baseball, all that stuff. But his bedtime's at 8:00. We go up at 7:30, 7:45. The game just started, and the playoffs, the World Series. I had to let him stay up late. I'm not going to let him stay up late every night to watch baseball. But if you had a situation where you worked in, I'm okay with 7-inning doubleheaders. Call me crazy. I'm okay with 7-inning doubleheaders. So if you had a situation where, you had a 3:00 game and a 7:00 game, or a 4:00 game, or 7:00 game, whatever, and you had 2 7-inning games on a couple. You designate a couple of nights a year. The Cubs have designated more home games than any other team in baseball. I think that you could really get some of the youth into it if you had games on earlier in the day. I like the idea. Yeah, getting it on Nickelodeon, something like that, obviously is big too. Trying to work out a deal with some of these other networks that their content is toward kids would be great. But I think having games on earlier would help. And the 7-inning doubleheader situation could be something that they think of moving forward. And you could do a little bit more of that, and you could have a game at 4:00, every Friday. Every Friday, you got 4:00 and 7:00 games. You could have a 4-game set over the weekend. Friday, you have a 4 and a 7, and then you have your Saturday and your Sunday. Why not? Nationals will be paying 15 deferred pay. Yeah, the Nationals in their deferred payment situation is just, come on. Oh, my God. Danny, who should the Blue Jays start at catcher? I know Jansen wasn't good this year. Other than defense, he's really the only one I know. Dude, Alejandro Kirk, man. Check him out on my channel for his debut. I did a debut video for Alejandro Kirk when he first got called up. Just, hop onto the page and search him. I actually think if you just go to YouTube and search him, I'm one of the first to come up. It got a few thousand views, and nobody was really on him. He's a great hitter. He's good defensively. In my video, I get some of the chatter between Buck and Dave or Dan. So I think that you got something there. He's a better hitter than Jansen. Jansen was supposed to be, that was the thing with Jansen. He was a good defensive catcher, but we kind of were going to have to wait a year or two for the bat to come along. Well, we've waited a couple of years now, and the bat isn't coming along. If you have Kirk and he can handle that pitching staff and he can hit, you got to go Kirk. Danny Jansen's days could be numbered because of that situation. I like Kirk. Sorry about that. Just hit the table. I like Kirk. I think he is. He's got it. I think he's the deal, and I think that's where they should go. Corbin's a lot of money. David, NFL games have come out early this week because of COVID, so why not? I mean, the whole NFL situation, it's been crazy because of COVID. It's not great, but from exposing new fans to the game, like having Monday night games start at 5:00, it's been great. Like my son's getting into football too, but it's because it's on. Like Sunday, yeah, it's on all day. But these odd days when it's on, it's just it's grabbing the attention. Let's get to, I'm going to stay on the chat, so I will watch you guys, but I do want to get to some Jays talk. For any Jays fans that may be in here, we do a little bit of Jays content, not a ton, but being a Jays fan, I do, we do kind of talk about the Jays here and there. Blue Jays are in on everyone, and they talk about it. They have money to spend. Part of the reason is, we talked about it earlier, they've got $66 million on the payroll. That's 20th in baseball. So they do have money to spend. Now they're going to have to spend money in a few years when they got to re-sign Gurriel and re-sign Bo and re-sign Vladdy and Cabin and all that. I mean, but right now they sort of jumped ahead of themselves last year. I think most Blue Jay fans would have been happy with a 500 season if we were playing 162 games. And they, in a 60-game season, they excelled. They did better than that. And they didn't even get to play at home. They're playing in Buffalo. So they really took a nice step, kind of got ahead. They saw how good, you saw how good a top-line ace with LeMahieu can do. So if the Blue Jays are really going to go for it, like they could be in the mix with this team because you got the youth. They should keep getting better and progressing. So those guys in the core should get better. And if you get a situation where Teoscar Hernandez and Randall Grichuk are still improving, then why can't the Blue Jays make a deep run in the playoffs next year and then compete the year after? If they go out and they get somebody like Springer or Lindor, and they also get the pitching, they could get their salary probably to right around 110, 120 and keep everybody they've got, add Springer, add a pitcher, a top-line pitcher. If they wanted to go get Bauer, they could go get Bauer, and they could add in something else because they cannot go through the season. If they want to be serious, Tanner Roark and Trent Thornton are not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. So they're going to have to go. They can't just go get one. They got Robbie Ray. That's good. Can they bring Taijuan Walker back? There was a lot of talk about that in the beginning, and that's died off. But Walker would be nice. So they got to do something, the Blue Jays do, because if they go get Springer and they get another top-line starter to pair with Ryu, I mean, I like the idea of like a Bauer and a Ryu situation because that's a nice righty-lefty combo, right? That kind of, listen, I'm going to compare it to a couple of Hall of Famers or maybe one Hall of Famer and one fringe Hall of Famer. But, Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling. If you have two guys at the top of the rotation that you just don't want to face because they're too good, they're Cy Young candidates at their peak. You have Ryu, you have Bauer. There could be something good there. And with Ray in there, you get a nice lefty righty situation with the rotation. Throw off the opponent. So, Blue Jays are in on everybody, which is kind of maddening because I don't want them to go get Gene Segura. I don't want them to get Jackie Bradley Jr., especially like early. They made a big mistake a few years ago, in my opinion, when they decided to try to re-sign Edwin Encarnacion. They didn't get that done as quickly as they'd like to, so they just jumped. And they made a whole bunch of moves. They signed Steve Pierce. And they made some other moves at the winter meetings, and Edwin was done. And Edwin had a couple good years left. I hope they don't do that this time. Just go get Jackie Bradley Jr. because if they do that, then Springer's not happening. And I hope they don't go get like Jackie Bradley Jr. and Jake Odorizzi. And God, they're attached to Fires too. Because then Springer and Bauer not happening. So how they kind of go about this is going to be interesting, but they're in on everybody. Some of the names I fear, some of the names I love. Problem is, it gets your hopes up. You get your hopes way up here, and then, it doesn't work out. They end up with Gene Segura, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Jake Odorizzi. I'll be bummed out if that's what happens. I'm going to get to the chat in a minute. I want to just highlight one more because we did have some videos in here trying to be high tech. Vladdy Guerrero, that is a big subject right now that he is out there and he is getting his workout on. He's losing weight. He's down in the Dominican right now, just crushing the ball. We have a few highlights here. That you saw the homer. He's got this one. He flashes it over into right center, and you can see him running. He's moving good. He looks good. So you got Vladdy. If Vladdy is able to get in shape and take a step in his evolution, really changes things. And here you see he's pretty pumped up about that RBI double. But the Blue Jays, again, you add in one of these guys, you hope for the maturity and the careers to keep progressing for Vladdy, and things just get really good here. Let me get back to the chat. NFL games early in the week. We talked about that. David Knight, Jansen hitting bunches last year. That's the problem with Jansen. And over 162 game season, 140 of those are garbage, and then 20 of them are good. Excuse me. Somehow, some way, Nationals will. Johnny's got somehow, some way, Nationals fans will finish in front of the Mets next year. I mean, that's just the Mets being the Mets. There'd have to be some injuries that would happen there for the Mets. Pete Alonso would have to go down. I think DeGrom would have to miss some time. I'm not high on the Nats next year unless they make a move. Go out and make a move. Sign Real, Muto, and Bryant. Be real. Go out there and try to win the World Series next year. They're not going to do it, but that's what I think the Nats, if they were trying to win, would do. Connor Ramirez, do you think Dodgers are going to re-sign Corey Seager? They have to. There's a couple guys that the fan base would just revolt. Seager's one of them. Buehler's another one, and Bellinger. Like they could let Turner go as long as they replace him. It's gonna be all right. They could let Muncy go. It's okay. Pollock, okay. But I think that Seager's one of those guys that they have to resign. David Morales, the Jays scare me as a Mets fan because they are in on a couple players we want. I mean, it's Jays and Mets are the two teams that just seem to be the fallback. Like, who's player A going to? It could be the Blue Jays or the Mets. That's everybody right now. Be nice to see one of those teams make a move, because then maybe we'd hear some more teams that are in on some of these guys. Yeah, David. There's a lot of Davids, but I got you guys. I'm keeping up. Morales, Damascus, Knight. If we get one more David, I think the chat's gonna explode. Kevin, facts are solid. He's racking. Danny, how do you feel about the Jays going after shortstops? What does that mean for Bo? They're talking about moving Bo to second. I did the video on Friday about Lindor going to Toronto, and it's really a matter of they let Shaw go. They didn't give Shaw a contract. So right now, third base is empty if you have Vlad at first. So you could move Bo to second. You can move Cabin to third. Or if Vladdy's fit, move Vladdy back to third. Cabin Biggio being so versatile right now is key, because Cabin can play third, second, first, outfield, can play anywhere. So that's a big part of this. So you can move Bichette to second, Cabin moves to first or third, and Vlad moves, and then you have an opening for Lindor. For LeMahieu, you just move. I mean, LeMahieu could play third, or they move Cabin to third, and they have opening. Cabin Biggio's versatility is huge. Jays might sign DJ. They are in on it. Jays are in on everybody. If signing DJ LeMahieu and making a move with a pitcher could really start to shift the balance. I mean, the Yankees, it looked like the Yankees were just going to be it for, every year, right? The Yankees are it. But it just, as a Jays fan, looking at the standings, looking at Judge and Torres and Severino and Sanchez until, recently, Voit now, it just was like, man, the Yankees are just going to be there every year. But now all of a sudden you can start to see some cracks in that, because the rotation doesn't look as good. LeMahieu, they're not giving LeMahieu the money he wants. They're talking about trading Luke Voit to try to get more left-handed in that lineup, which they do need, but to give up on the Major League home run leader. And I don't think that was a fluke. Luke Voigt's always been a good hitter. He lost a lot of weight. He got in shape. So Luke Voit of 2020 is what I would expect Luke Voit to be again. So that's a thing. But all of a sudden you can start to see some cracks in the Yankees, to where there's a window. There's a window developing for somebody like Toronto to make a move. David Morales, I really like the signing of James McCann. A good deal, 4 for $40. Yes, very good move there for the Mets. He's a good hitter. Was a good hitter with the White Sox. Now he was really comfortable with a lot of that central pitching. He had seen a lot of Michael Fulmer and Danny Duffy and guys like that. He'd seen a lot of them, and that helped him. Let's not, think that James McCann is a top 5, top 10 catcher. He's a good catcher. He's right on the fringe, I think, of being in the top 10. It may be a little bit outside of it, but he was also very familiar. I was last year. I was doing this thing, and I think I'm going to do it again for FightingChanceFantasy.com. I was doing a fantasy baseball daily sort of head-to-head matchup article, and so McCann just kept coming up as a guy who's really good against this Kansas City pitcher or this Detroit pitcher or this Twins pitcher, right? Like he just kept showing up. So now he's going to go into a new division where he's going to see a lot of new guys that he's not as comfortable with. So we'll see how he adjusts. MLB Joey, Mets signed Bauer. Did you hear? Oh, come on, MLB Joey. Really? I'm going to check Twitter. If he's not on the Mets, then we have to put you in timeout. I'm kidding. I did think, I'm like, you know what? While we're doing this, something will happen. Because we haven't really had anything happen late yet. The Lance Lynn trade was late, but we haven't really had anything late. The Ryu deal last year was late. I think the Betts deal was late. It just hasn't been anything late this year. Johnny Pay, Bellinger let Buehler walk in a couple of years to the couple. I really like Buehler. I think that's the rotation that you're going to build upon. I think that Kershaw is going to be the guy that goes, and it's going to be Buehler's going to be who you build the rotation around. Joey, nice green screen. Thank you very much. I would love to show you guys the real thing, but like I said, I have a 6-year-old. I also have a 4-year-old daughter, and they have the house these days. Eventually, they'll go back to school, and I can have the house back, and we can have a better setup. So the green screen is for now. Let's see. Connor, we're all forgetting Liam Hendricks. Dodgers should get him. We talked about Liam earlier. Liam Hendricks would be a nice move. Do the Dodgers want to spend the money there? If they covet that, I don't hate the idea. Kenley Jansen is not a shutdown closer anymore. And Dodgers fans, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. He's not a shutdown closer anymore. He's a guy who's going to be okay. But his ERA is going to be in the 3s, which means he's going to be giving up runs every couple times out, which means he's going to be blowing saves. You want a guy whose ERA for the Dodgers, you want a guy who's going to be shutting that game down. You want a guy who's got an ERA of 1.5, 1.75, 2 max. But Jansen, at this point in his career, he's a guy his ERA is going to be 3 to 3.5, just based on some of the metrics. And that's, Hendricks would be a nice move. Now, Hendricks' velocity has to stay up, because that's the thing about Hendricks is he really got good when his velocity ticked up in 2019. Can he keep that velocity up? Because if that velocity dips, I think his performance dips. So that's important. That's what I was watching in 2020. His velocity he did hold that steady. Let me see. LeSavage, do you think Betts will win MVP this season? He'll be in the running. I think that's for sure. He'll be in the running. Give him a full season at the top of that lineup. He can score 150 runs. So we'll kind of see where that goes. Dodgers are top heavy pitching arms in the farm system. Only Braves can compete with our young pitching. The Braves young pitching, man, Johnny. The Braves young pitching is incredible. The Dodgers have a lot of great young pitching. We started to see that. I think Dustin May kind of arrived a year early. When they brought him up in 2019, I was surprised. And then he got a lot of run last year. I love Dustin May. We haven't seen the best of Dustin May yet. He's still developing. Gonsolin, all the eyes were on him in the playoffs. Didn't really see the best of Gonsolin. He's the real deal too. In Urias, I've been a big Urias guy since he came up a few years ago. Had some injury issues. I'm a big Julio guy. And then you got Buehler and Kershaw. I mean, they're great. The Braves pitching is fantastic. Bryce, as a Sox fan, I will miss McCann. Can't complain enough with Grandal on our roster. I like Grandal. I like him. That was a nice combo, the Grandal-McCann combo. We'll kind of see what they got. I know they have a prospect that is ready to sort of get that playing time. So it'll be good. McCann going to the Mets is good because now Now the White Sox can move on to their prospect. I'm blanking on his name. You can maybe give it to me, Bryce. But yeah, you guys have a prospect that's ready to go. Wobbles. Trade for Lindor. Sign JBJ. Sign Jake Odorizzi and Paxton. It's perfect offseason for Toronto. So we get Lindor, Jackie Bradley Jr., Odorizzi, and Paxton. That'd be fine. I feel like they got to get one of the big names. They got to trade to get one of the names. You know, the Blue Jays have not been mentioned with Arenado. They have been mentioned with Bryant. So trade for Lindor or Bryant or Arenado or sign Springer. And then you get Jackie Bradley Jr. out there in center field. Odorizzi and Paxton would be two nice moves. I'd like it. I'm good with that. David Kelly, what about Hader? His name's out there, isn't it? I can't. I mean, Devin Williams showed up in Milwaukee. I got to think that the Brewers are going to roll with Hader. There's always the rumors that Hader's going to get traded to the Yankees. You know, we'll see how that plays out over time. But I think he stays in Milwaukee for a little bit longer. Danny Howd, do you think a younger rebuilding team will go out and get Rich Hill for 1 year? Sure. I mean, Rich Hill's signing 1 year deals. Problem with Rich Hill is he's going to miss some time. He's going to get hurt. That's derailed his career. But I think that is a fair option. He shouldn't cost a ton of money. And it'd be a 1 year deal. You know, Rich Hill, I don't know if Rich Hill's going to like that because Rich Hill at this point in his career probably still wants to win and compete. But we'll kind of see where the market plays out for him. What will happen for the All-Star game in LA? That just depends on LeSavage. That just depends how much of a season they can get going. You know, do they want to have an All-Star game if they can't have fans? You know, well, we'll kind of see. You know, the NBA is going to be the first league to experience that. Do you have an All-Star game when you can't have fans? Because the NBA will be scheduled to have their All-Star game in like March or April. Will they do it? You know, we'll see. I don't think that they would want to have the All-Star game and not be able to give LA all that revenue. So maybe they host the game at a different site and go back to LA when they can have some revenue. David, my opinion is some of us baseball fans will have nice presents under the tree for. I hope so. As a Blue Jay fan, I'd love to have Francisco Lindor under the tree. Connor Ramirez, as a Dodger fan, I'm scared of the Braves even more now that they got Morton. I mean, Morton's tough. That Braves rotation is tough. It's going to be one of the best in baseball this year. Ian Anderson is great. You got Soroka and Fried and Morton, and then they can figure it out with the last guy there, whether it's Wilson or whether it's Wright or whoever it is. Yeah, Braves rotation is going to be tough. And Ian Anderson, if I was a fan of a National League East team, I'd dread Ian Anderson. Danny, I think they moved the LA All-Star game to 2022. They might have. Zach Collins, thank you, Bryce, is the White Sox prospect. First-round pick from Miami. Tell me what you mean there. Going through the chat, I'm not sure if I missed something. Tell me what you mean there with first-round pick from Miami. So, again, keeping up with the chat, you guys run the show here, okay? We have some topics. There's the lineup up there, but you guys run the show. So we'll kind of hop back. I want to just touch back on a couple things that we have. You know, we've got a lot of people in here who weren't here at the top. 2021 season, owners, players, it's starting. They are already starting to fire shots publicly. You have Bob Nightengale with the report that they're going to delay it. It could be 160. It could be 140. It could be 80. It could be just depressing situation. But the players are out there saying they're the MLB senior director saying we're going, we're playing. We'll be there on opening day. We'll be there for spring training as scheduled. But owners are disputing that. They want everybody to be vaccinated, which is going to cause a big nightmare with the PR because how are you going to have everybody vaccinated when you don't have the majority of the general public vaccinated? It doesn't work. And Scott Boras was out there today on his annual call saying that the Major League Baseball, the owners didn't lose money. They lost profits, not money. So, interesting way to put it. But it's starting. It's starting. And you know what? I mean, if they're going to start talking about the schedule that they're going to have, they need to do it now. I'm disappointed. Major League Baseball put out that schedule before the 2020 season started, saying, look, we are going forward. We are so confident in getting back to 162 games, and we're going to give you our 2021 schedule before the first pitch of the 2021 abbreviated season. And now they're backtracking. I don't like that at all. We talked about DJ LeMahieu. That situation in New York, just pay him. Just pay him, Yankees. If you lose him, you start to see the cracks. Gary Sanchez isn't the same guy he was. Too many injuries with Judge and Stanton. You can't mess around with this. Sign DJ LeMahieu and work out a trade. If you need some relief, some financial relief, work out a trade somewhere else. But DJ LeMahieu's been in the top 5 in MVP voting both years he's been there. He's figured that stadium out. He went right from the National League to the American League and didn't miss a beat, facing a whole bunch of pitchers he's never seen before. That preparation, that is something you don't find in most players. So you don't mess around with this. Just go get him. We talked about Trevor Bauer. One of my worries about Trevor Bauer is he's really only been elite twice in his career, 2018 and this shortened 2020 season in which he only faced Central hitters, American League and National League Central hitters. Now, he pitched well against the Braves in the playoffs, but he lived in the Central. So he could do his reporting, do his scouting on all that and just dominate, and he did. The teams that were in his top 5 video, the Giants, the Padres, the Angels, the Mets, the Yankees, what makes the most sense? Does he go to any of them? The situation with him is that he put that out there to get some views on social media. He may not go to any of these teams, but that's what he put out there. The Angels need him. The Angels certainly need his services. The Yankees could use it too. I don't think the Giants are ready yet. The Padres are close. They could certainly use it. The Mets, I talked about it a lot here. The Mets need some pitching. So that would add depth to the rotation. But, Trevor Bauer, he's really good when he's good. And when he's not good, he's not good. 7 seasons with an ERA over 4. So what is a team who's going to sign him? What are they getting? Are they getting the Trevor Bauer that's a Cy Young, that's an elite pitcher? Or are they getting the guy that can't get it together and is only going to give you, a handful of good starts throughout the season? So we don't love the idea of investing in 5 or 6 years necessarily with Trevor Bauer. But, these teams got scouting departments. They should be able to figure it out. And we talked about the baseballhq.com guys. They feel like this was legit based on the arsenal, based on the RPMs on the pitching, based on all of his metrics. It looked like he was getting back to the 2018 version, which is going to be who he is for a couple years. So anybody that gets him is going to hope for that. This is what an Angels rotation could look like if it does go the Angels way. You need Bauer at the top because Haney's not a number 1. Bundy's not a number 1. Canning's young. Ohtani's always hurt. So what are you going to do? Bauer would certainly do something there. We talked about George Springer. You got the GM, the new GM. Porter's all about him. Wants him to come to the Mets. He loves him some George Springer, and certainly look at his stats throughout his career and the leadership he's shown with the Astros. You can't talk about George Springer without talking about garbage cans. That's always going to be there. But he's just got something, and a lot of fan bases are kind of forgetting about the 2017 situation. But me too. Listen, I'm a Blue Jays fan. I'd love to have Springer because I think he's good enough where he doesn't need. I don't think he needs some garbage cans banging in the background. But the Mets are the team that are hot on him. This is what a lineup could look like with Springer at the top. That's a tough lineup. It's a nice right, left, all the way through. I have Nito in there. I apologize for that. That should be McCann. I did this lineup a couple of days ago before the McCann signing was done. I need to change that. But that's, a Springer at the top of that lineup would be great, but the Mets have to be able to pitch. That's going to be the thing. They need to pitch. Team ERA over 5. Not going to work. They had one of the best OPSs in baseball. They were third in OPS in 2020, and they missed the playoffs. It's not good. Every team in the top 5 made it except them. So we talked about some Bauer, we talked about some Springer, talking about some teams. Let's get back to the chat. PBJ Rocket, if you're still there, it's been a few minutes, I know. I hope you're still here. So Blue Jays, we were talking about some Blue Jays earlier. Let me know if you're still here. If you are still here, comment. There you go. You're there. Okay, good. Jays fan, yes. I'm a Jays fan. I've been a Jays fan since 91, right? Yeah, I hated the Twins. Hated Chuck Knobloch. Hated Kent Herbeck. Just not a fan. So big Blue Jays fan going back to before the championships. We were talking about it earlier. I love that the Blue Jays are in on everybody. That's really exciting, but it also sets your hopes really high, and you hope that it doesn't come crashing down and they, just end up with, Gene Segura, Colton Wong, and Mike Fiers. Like it's almost my nightmare. That's what I worry about. I hope they can land Springer or make a trade for Lindor, or, they've even been linked to Marcell Ozuna recently. I think Ozuna's going to have to pick an American League team with the doubt that the National League is going to have a DH. So that would be great. But I can't go through a season as a Jays fan with Tanner Roark and Trent Thornton every 5th day. I can't do it. It's not going to work. You got Ryu, you got Pearson, you've got Ray, which I like. I hope they bring back Walker. They let Shoemaker go. Maybe they can move somebody up. Do they move Merriweather up? Do they give him a chance? Do they give Barucki a chance? I think they said they were going to keep Barucki in the bullpen. Does Kay get a chance? And that 5 spot? Or do they say, you know what? We're going to make a run this year. We can't make a run with the uncertainty of Merriweather or Kay or anybody like that. So we got to make a move. We got to go get James Paxton. I would be cool with that. Go get Paxton for a couple of years. I think it helped them that a lot of guys that were good enough to be starters were in the bullpen. Starters have more pitches than relievers. Relievers usually have 2 or 3. Starters can have 4 or 5 pitches. So if you got a guy coming out of the bullpen that isn't just throwing you a fastball and a slider and a changeup, but is also throwing you 3 other pitches, then that's tough. So I think that helped them last year for sure. So we did talk a lot about the Blue Jays. I do hope they make a splash, and I hope that they can really they can compete. I think the Yankees are starting to show cracks of weakness, and that could be a big opportunity for Toronto to make a step, because Vladdy should improve, Bo should improve, Cavan should improve. We saw Teoscar improve and Grichuk improved, but they may have to trade one of these guys to get somebody like Lindor or Bryant. And if they do have to trade somebody, I hope they can get away with a prospect or 2 in Grichuk. That's my hope. So there we go. So there's some Blue Jays talk. We'll talk more about it, but I want to get through the chat. Kevin Meredith, anything less than 100 games is sad. I agree, man. I can't do it again. We just did 60. I was like, okay, it's something. But with this much headway, 80 games, David, you followed it right up. Yeah, 80 games. I don't want it. I want as many games as possible. I want them playing in the snow in December if that's what it takes. I don't care. Make it happen. Move everybody south into the warm weather climates and figure it out. I want at least 140 games. I think they should be able to figure that out. Major League Baseball was so confident in a full schedule that they put out that 2021 schedule back in before the 2020 season even started. Don't backtrack on it now. Don't do it. David Morales Cohen has a fat wallet, ready to make some deals, but has he also been out there that he's talking about how they're going to spend, but they're not going to go crazy? I think I saw that, and I think some Mets fans were not happy about that. Miller time. Morton is getting old. Dodgers will get to him again. I mean, Morton, what do we have? We were doing a ton of research on this. Morton's issue, I want to say it was the lefties. That's why the Dodgers got to him. And yes, teams that have enough lefties will get to Morton. Now, how does he play out over a full year? We'll see. He's old. He is older. He's having his career years right now. But they don't need him. Here's the thing about the Braves. They don't need Morton to be the 1 or the 2 or the 3. They need him to be the sort of the 3 or 4. And that's great for Morton to be in that spot. If they needed him to be at the top of that rotation, like the Rays kind of needed, I don't think it works out as well. Kevin Meredith, Bionic. Johnny Clayton. Hold on a minute. I got an issue with my. Here we go. Johnny Clayton Bobby drafted in 2020. They move up quickly on Dodgers farm system already at the 9th. That's why Dodgers are a machine. I'm with you. PB and J, yes, Blue Jays go. I've thought about. I don't know if I could do it. I've thought about, one of my buddies on here, Hum Baby Baseball. If you haven't checked him out, check him out. He does post games for the San Francisco Giants every game, and I've thought about doing that for the Jays because I would love to just dive into some hardcore Jays talk for a while. But I don't want it to be sporadic. I don't want it to be something where you don't know if I'm going to be on. I don't want it to be last minute. I want you guys to have some notice. So, and I cannot commit to doing it every game. I don't know. I want to try to figure something else out because I do love, again, some just hardcore Jays talk for a little bit. Let's see. Hair Pazzo. Puig will work with the Jays. I'd be cool with that. I know some people don't want Puig as a head case, but I'd be cool with it. Kyle, Jays get Lindor, but don't give up Lourdes. And thank you. Thank you for the donation there. Yes. I was tweeting it earlier. You and I were tweeting back and forth about it. And anybody who hasn't yet, hit me up on Twitter. Find me there. We talk baseball all the time. I love to interact with you guys. At Jim Riley Live on Twitter if you want to find me over there. But I would love for the Jays to get Lindor without giving up Lourdes Gurriel. Make it be Grichuk. Give him a prospect or two. I'm fine with that. Le Savage Gamer, will the Dodgers get Snell? I don't think so. I don't think they make that move. I don't know why. I just don't think they make that move. I don't think the Dodgers maybe feel like they need to do anything with the rotation because they've got too many guys as it is. Gonsolin's ready, and he's probably going to be in the bullpen next year because you're going to have Price back if he doesn't opt out. Then you have Buehler. Then you have Kershaw. Then you have Urias. And then you have Kay. I don't think they have room to go get Snell. If they get Snell, they're giving up Kay or Urias, and I don't think they have to. So I don't think they make that move. I don't think they need to make that move. David, you're right. Cohen is letting Ellison run. Yep. Kyle, I could talk Jays all day. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I've thought about, and this is getting super Jays focused, but I want to kind of do a roundtable. Blue Jays Twitter is a thing. I know every team's Twitter is a thing. I get that. But Blue Jays Twitter is a thing. It's aggressive. I've thought about trying to get something here. I think on my stream, I can get like 5 or 6 additional participants and maybe for opening day or something. I just want to get a bunch of Blue Jays Twitter guys on here and we'll just have this massive Blue Jays blowout. We'll see. Blue Jays, I'd like you. Blue Jays fan. Cheers, bro. Cheers to you, brother. Thank you. Kurt Suzuki look good for the White Sox or Red Sox? Hair puzzle. Let me know. You talking about White Sox or Red Sox? I don't think the White Sox need them. They got Collins. I think that Collins, you got to let him have a chance now. I think that they do that. Suzuki with the Red Sox would be a good move. Kyle, thank you very much. Always good chatting. Bryce, what are your thoughts on Sox trading Dunning for Lynn? It's a good question. I like that they got Lynn. Would have been nice if they could have gotten him without Dunning. Dunning, for the Rangers, there's 6 years of control. Dunning is going to get paid like next to nothing for the next couple of years. And then he'll have arbitration. And his arbitration number will probably be $2 or $3 or $4 million for the first couple of years. Like the Rangers get a lot. And Lynn, this was the last year. But the White Sox are in a situation where they're like, we are past just making the playoffs is good for us. We need to be making a run at the World Series. We have the bats, we have the lineup, we have the offense, which they do. So they need to be sure that they are ready to go with the rotation. Excuse me. And you've got Giolito, Keuchel, now Lance Lynn at the top of that. Trading Dunning probably means you're still going to see Ronaldo Lopez. I'm sorry, White Sox fans. That is a nightmare. Maybe they get something on him. I don't know. I know they've got some other guys, but it would have been nice to hold on to Dunning because then that would have been the 5, right? You would have had Dunning in there and Lynn in there and Giolito and Cease. You would have had 5 right there. You're going to see Ronaldo Lopez still. But if he's your 5 and maybe somebody established themselves along the way, there's still plenty of offseason. They could go make a move and get somebody else. They've said they're not done yet. I think that means they're getting a closer, but there's a chance that they go out and they do something with maybe they go out and get one more starter if they feel like they just need to move on from Lopez. Kyle, let me get your thoughts here. Here we go. Let me go. I'm going back up here. Let's see. David, fun channel, great baseball insight. Thank you. I want to do this as much as I can. It's the ball cap, nightcap. I hope you guys noticed on the thumbnail, you got the Major League Baseball logo in the corner with a little nightcap on it. It's late baseball talk. Something good to end the day, I hope. Let's see. What do you think about DJ to the Dodgers? I mean, it could happen. There hasn't been a lot of talk about that because he's so focused on staying in New York. That's been the focus. We'll see what kind of happens over the next couple of days when, now the word is that the Yankees and DJ are apart in money. So now we're going to start to see maybe where DJ might go, and the Dodgers could be in there. If the money they're not going to pay Trine and Turner, they could give DJ. No doubt about it. That'd be scary. Kyle, your thoughts? Yankees get DJ. Springer goes to the Mets. Bauer to the Angels. Jays trade for Lindor and sign him for 10 years. That's some good movement. All that could happen. I think if the Mets miss out on the pitcher, they got to get Springer. They got to get a big bat. If you're a Yankee fan, you're hoping that the team's just going to make the right move and get DJ. Bauer to the Angels really helps the Angels. The Astros are on the way down, right? Springer's gone. Altuve looks like a mess. Cole left last year. Verlander's only got a year or 2 left. So the Astros are going that way. They're talking about trading Correa. You've got Oakland's always kind of there, but then sometimes they're not. So, the Angels could jump in there, and they need to. All of this October baseball without Mike Trout is just wrong. So Bauer to the Angels would make it happen there. I think that would be a big improvement. And Lindor to the Jays, I'd love it. I think he's one of the best players out there right now that's available. And they've only got $66 million on the books for the 2021 season, so they've got the money to throw $25-30 million a year at Lindor for 10 years. And they can be running. I just hope that they still address the pitching. They need one more pitcher to win a World Series. Lindor is we're ready to compete for the World Series right now move. That's what that would be, right? So if they make that move, there has to be a corresponding move with the rotation, because just Ryu at the top, Pearson needs a couple more years. I'd hate for Pearson to be thrust into the number 2 role so early. Right? And he's going to start overthrowing, and he's going to hurt himself. So Pearson can be a problem if you make him the number 2. You can't have Roark. You can't have Thornton. Ray could be nice, but Ray could also be a disaster. And Taijuan Walker was good for us, but what are we going to get in a full season with Walker? They need one more pitcher. Let's move on to Le Savage Gamer. Have you heard Have you heard of the Dodgers signing 7 Dodgers free agents? I haven't. I don't quite understand what you're saying there. Hit me back with that. George Springer to the Red Sox. Andy, I hope you're still here. I know it's been a few minutes. That's out there. I feel like there's 3 teams that are out there, and it's the Red Sox, it's the Mets, and it's the Blue Jays for George Springer. It'd be a big move. Red Sox sort of took a year off from winning JD Martinez had no interest in playing. It looks like they're moving on from Jackie Bradley Jr., so Springer would be nice to infuse into that lineup. And they let Betts walk. What a great move that would be for that franchise to then go get George Springer. You'd let Mookie Betts go. You say it's to free up some money and to rebuild later because you're getting rid of that price salary. Prove it. Go get George Springer. Prove it. That's it. Jordan Armstrong. Let me get back to you, man. We've had a couple of these. Let's see. We got. Let me see here. I want to get back to you guys. I'm going to go rapid fire here real quick because I am getting behind. I don't want to get too far behind. I don't want anybody to comment and then bail. There we go. Might have answered this, but Blue Jays trading for Lindor realistic? It is a chance. It is realistic. I think the Blue Jays have the pieces, and they have the financial situation. James Bandy, let's go Indians. Well, is it the Indians or is it the Spiders or is it the tongue-in-cheek Steamers? Anyway, it's getting late, right? We're going to get a little crazy now. Jordan, hate to see Lourdes get shipped out. I'm with you. I'd like to see him stay there. He's 27 or 28. There's a lot of good years left. Andy, let's go Red Sox. I'm all for Red Sox fans. I root for the Red Sox every time they take on the Yankees. When the Red Sox take on the Jays, not so much. But when the Red Sox are facing the Yankees, I'm a Red Sox fan. Jays won't ship Lourdes. I hope not. That's from Kyle. Harpazo, I hope I'm saying that right, buddy. They have Morrow and Nelson. They do. I like that Morrow deal. I mean, there's nothing to lose there, and there's a lot of potential with Morrow. James, DJ to the Nats. I just don't think the Nats are going to spend money. If they were going to spend money, they need to be in on that, but I don't think they're going to spend money. Jordan, who do you think they would trade? I'm going to need you to give me, Jordan, I'm going to need you to give me that one again. Who's they? Johnny, if the Dodgers are getting anyone this year, it's going to be DJ, plays multiple. I mean, the Dodgers love versatility. I'm with you there. Mets should sign Bartolo Colon. I mean, maybe. Only if there's a universal DH. That way he can hit, just focus on hitting bombs all year, right? Cross 3DD Dodgers would be set for repeat with DJ and a decent bullpen arm. I agree. One of the things Dodgers really, they can let the talent come to them when it comes to the bats. Their focus needed to be on the bullpen. I think they're doing that so far with the moves that they've made. They've made some minor moves. They haven't made a big splash for that bullpen, but they're doing the right things. White Sox, LOL. Is that you're talking about Suzuki with the White Sox, right? Again, I think they gotta let the prospect. They gotta let Zach up. All right, James Bauer to the Padres potentially. Kyle, Padres don't have the money for Bauer. Right. I do think the Padres are getting stretched thin. They got a lot of money in other places. I don't know if they're gonna have the money for that. Jays should get pitchers. I want the Jays to get pitchers, but I also want them to get one more bat, a big bat. That's what I would like. Let's see here. Kyle, Lindor and Alomar are very close. Alomar was one of my favorite players. So, Lindor in a Jays uniform, that'd be nice. Would he wear 12? That's a good question. That's a great question, Kyle, about Lindor wearing 12, Alomar. Maybe. Paxton would be great too for Jays, and he's Canadian. Bring it on. I'd love it. Wait for Trevor Story next year. Great point. Some of these teams just, if they want to be patient, there's some good free agents next year. Trevor Story is one of them. I don't think Colorado's going to sign him unless they can. If Colorado deals Arenado, that might be the money that they need for Story. Kevin Meredith, Phillies should trade Harper. It sounds crazy, but if you're not competing, then why have Harper? That's the problem with a 10-year deal, $30+ million a year. But Dombrowski is I think, going to maybe change the thought process there. The Harper contract's a mess. Kevin Meredith, possibly right. It's just tough. I know we're catching up here, which is good. I like to catch up. Do a weekly Jays recap, not every game. I might. One of the things I like to do during the season is try to keep up with, if you followed me during the season this year, which I have a lot of new subscribers, some of you might be new. But if you look back at the channel, I really like to put out a lot. I like to try to go overboard. And one of the things I did last year that I really liked and I want to keep doing is these head-to-head videos, and I was doing player lock videos. So when we had major league debuts, we were doing a player lock video. So you can go back on the channel, look back. You can see the player lock for Ian Anderson. You can see the player lock for Davey Garcia. You can see the player lock for Joe Adell and Christian Pache and all those guys. We had player locks for all of them on their major league debuts. And I like doing the head-to-head videos. I thought it was a really fun, unique aspect of taking the game and really sort of putting a microscope over a certain aspect of it. So you saw DeGrom versus Guerrero, and it was just a head-to-head of those two that day. You saw Luzardo and Tatis. You saw a lot of that head-to-head. So I want to keep doing that. So I'm just gonna have to figure out how we're gonna keep this live thing going, because I want to interact with you guys, but I also want to keep that content up because I think it's unique. I don't see anybody else doing it, and when they do it, they're chopping it up, and it's kind of I just think that I'm giving something different, and that's why I did that. I want to give you guys two aspects on this channel. I want to do some baseball talk, but I also like to be creative with the videos and sort of change it, manipulate it a little bit. Let's get back to the chat. So Mark, Jay's weekly recap, or maybe just after a big game, if it's Blue Jays and Yankees and it's for first place or something like that, maybe we'll do something, but I want to figure something out. I feel like the Red Sox should trade Andrew Benintendi from Andy. Here's the thing. Benintendi's value is just gone. Yes, they should trade him, but I think they're stuck with him. They got to see if they can still turn that around. Let's see. Let's see. I'm just trying to get everybody up here. 12 was retired, so he can't. Players have made exceptions in the past for guys to wear their numbers. It could happen. I don't know if it will. Maybe Lindor wears 21. Maybe he flips it around. But just because it's retired doesn't necessarily mean that it's off the table. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's wearing 88 for the Cowboys. That was Michael Irvin's number. It happens. Where players are okay with somebody taking their number. And a player like Lindor, who is on track to be a Hall of Famer, with Syracuse University, number 44 means something. Number 44 is they don't really do it as much, but number 44 was Ernie Davis and Jim Brown and other Floyd Little. I think Floyd wore 44. So you had 44 just became a number for Syracuse football. And there's just certain numbers that are synonymous, and John Wallace in basketball. So you got a situation with maybe Toronto could start to build something like that with the number 12. If it's Alomar, who's a Hall of Famer, and you give it to Francisco Lindor is on track to be a Hall of Famer. Maybe number 12 just becomes this immortal number for the Blue Jays. It could be kind of interesting. Kyle, let me know what you think about that. Let me know if you think I'm nuts on that. Jordan, I wouldn't be too hurt if Jays waited until next year to see if they can swing a deal with one of the free agents. Sure. I mean, maybe get the pitcher this year and then next year go grab Trevor Story. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Cross 3DG fun stream. Keep it up. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. Andy Contreras, who's your favorite player? Favorite player of all time is Roberto Alomar from the Toronto Blue Jays. Favorite player right now? I mean, I don't know, man. It changes. You kind of get older and like when you're not like 12 anymore watching baseball, like you just kind of have favorite players. Like there's just guys you jump to. Love Trout, love Tatis, love Acuna. Sixto Sanchez, big fan of Sixto. I'm a big fan of a lot of these guys. Kyle, I think people forget you can trade Randall. His contract has value. I would try to put him in the Lindor deal. I think that would be the way to go for me. I would love to see if they're going to do something like that. If that can be Randall Grichuk, that wouldn't be bad. And they signed him long term, so he's locked up for a few years at at a salary that isn't that absorbable by a team. Indians are trying to shed money though, so maybe they don't want to take on somebody that's got money. Maybe they just want prospects. If the Indians only want prospects from the Blue Jays, that might be tough to pull off. But we'll kind of see how that goes. My favorite player of all time is David Ortiz. David Ortiz gave you some amazing memories. And one of the best moments I'm losing my voice. We've been going for 2 hours. One of the best moments in baseball history when he came back after the bombing, and he's got the microphone and he's talking to the crowd. He's like, this is our effing city. Like David Ortiz was just the heart and soul of Boston. And if you're a Boston fan, I totally get that. David Ortiz was incredible. Let's see here. James, Lindor will walk after a year. No thanks. That's the issue. Can you work out a sign and trade? If you can work out a sign and trade, rock on. If you can't, you better be sure you're making a run at the World Series. Look what the Raptors did. So Toronto has done this before recently, where they make the trade, they go get the great player, and they win the championship that year. If that happens, if they go get Lindor and they give up Grichuk and a couple of top prospects, and they don't re-sign him, the only way that will be okay is if they win a World Series. And they're not going to win a World Series with this team plus Lindor. They need to get some more pitching too. So that's going to be interesting. Kyle, Jays will sign him. They've got the money. That's the thing. When you look at the other teams that Lindor has been rumored to go to, it's a money thing. And take a look at one of my favorite websites to go to, and I recommend everybody check it out. Is let me make sure I got it right. Where did it go? Spot Track, right? If you haven't checked out Spot Track yet, just Google 2021 payrolls. It's the first result. Let me share my screen. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Let me get this out of here though. Hold on. I got to change up what we're sharing. Because Spot Track is great. And you get the revenue. Here we go. So this is Spot Track right here. So here's your payroll tracker. And this is the payrolls for right now heading into 2021. So you can see everybody's payroll. And what I like about it is it gives you the players. So you got the contract details for DJ LeMahieu. You get what he was earning. You get a base salary. They give you, if he was up for arbitration, they give you a projection. And it's based on a lot of numbers that are relevant. You got calculated market value. So Spot Track is a great tool when kind of looking at the stuff and analyzing it. I spend a lot of time on Spot Track. So I hope you guys like that. So check out Spot Track. That's a good one. Did that show up? Let me see. I want to make sure that showed up. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I think that showed up. Okay, we're good. So when you look, but here's the point. You look at Spot Track to see who's got the money, and Toronto has $66 million tied up in 2021, and that's 20th in baseball. It's all the other teams that are competing and okay with spending money, kind of already put all their chips in. You got Oakland and Tampa down towards the bottom, but they're not going to spend the money. Toronto is in position to sign, to go make that big long-term deal. Let's see, Bryce, have you ever stayed at the hotel at Jay Stadium? I have not. Kyle, let us know if you have. I have eaten at the Hard Rock Cafe. It was actually, I ate there. Last time I ate there was a few years ago. There was a monster truck rally going on. So we were, my wife did this nice thing. She's like, for your, it was a birthday or anniversary. We were going to Toronto, and one of the things that she was going to get for me was eating at the Hard Rock out there. And it was during the off season, but it would still be cool because you could look out over at the stadium, and it'd be fun. You got to look over there, and there's the field and everything. But they just had monster truck there. So the field was a mess. It was all torn up. It was dusty. It was cloudy, but it was still fun. It was still good. Andy, I like Verdugo going to Papa. I like Verdugo. I'm a big Alex Verdugo fan. I'm with you right there. I think he was a nice piece. And given a full year, giving Red Sox fans a full year to see him, I think Verdugo is going to do nice for you. What topic are we on, Austin? We are We are in 2 hours and 15 minutes, so that is the lineup. We are just freewheeling now. I'm letting you guys decide the topic. We are going through the chat. It is what you guys want to talk about at this point. Verdugo's underrated, yes. Let's see here. Kyle, haven't stayed there. Kevin, that's the Kyle Arenado would be a nice upgrade. The talk about Toronto tearing down Rogers Center / Skydome, it makes me want to get back up there. These days I live in the DC, Maryland area, and I don't get up there as much as I used to. Used to live up in Western New York, so we would go, frequently. Skydome is the ugliest stadium in the league. I mean, it wasn't always the ugliest stadium in the league. It was kind of cool back in the 90s. I know that's a long time ago. But, I kind of want to get back up there one more time. I want to show my kid that stadium before they tear it down. I mean, some of the renderings they're talking about for a new, facility / entertainment zone, it's amazing. But yeah, I mean, Skydome has fallen behind the rest of baseball, but I still love it. Arenado opts out from Fear the Unknown. If Arenado opts out next offseason, is the Dodgers the favorites? I guess it depends on what the Dodgers do with that third base spot. If the Dodgers go out, if the Dodgers don't bring back Turner, or they bring Turner back on a one-year deal, if the Dodgers find themselves in the same situation next year that they're in this year at third base, then probably. If Turner comes back for a 2-year deal, or they go out and trade for Bryant, then probably not. But, if the Dodgers, again, if they're in the same position they're in this time next year, then probably. Arenado wants to win. Arenado's not a kid anymore. He's getting up there, and he's going to want to start winning some baseball games. How long has he been in the league? He's been in the league since 2013. He's played over 1,000 games in the regular season. He's only had 5 playoff games. Dude's going to want to win. And we talked about in one of the previous Arenado videos, we talked about Arenado out of, Colorado, because that's the thing, the splits. And we looked at the splits. It's down. It's down when he's on the road. And it's even a little more down at Dodger Stadium. But that's in the Rockies lineup. And the Rockies haven't been world beaters. If you put Arenado in a situation where you've got Seager ahead of him and you've got Bellinger behind him, I think Arenado could do just fine in Dodger Stadium. What is your favorite stadium right now? I'm just going to go on stadiums I've been to. I like Camden Yards. Camden Yards is still classic, and they've had some nice upgrades to it to modernize it a little bit. They got that outfield seating area. It's no ticket. You just once you're in the game, you can go hang out there. They got a nice bar. I like what Camden Yards has done. I haven't been to either of the New York stadiums yet. One of the things I want to do with this channel as we get back to life is, go to these stadiums, take you guys to these stadiums. I want to try to work out something with some of these teams, and I want to actually go to the stadiums and take a behind the scenes look. That's kind of my brainstorming with this thing. I'd like to go take a behind the scenes look, give you guys, subscribers, a look at, down in the batting cages, underneath the stadiums, the hallways, the offices, the meeting rooms, the bullpen, the dugout. Get in there. So I hope to get to more stadiums as this channel grows. But I do like Camden Yards. Bryant to the Nats. Rizzo's already shot that down, James. It's not looking happening. It makes sense, but they've shot that down. They do not feel that third base and catcher is a weak spot. Mike Rizzo is on something. All right. Imagine Dragon. Do you think the Jays are better off keeping the money for the big three and sign a free agent with the money they have left, where the big three can kind of be there? The thing is, they're not going to have to pay them for a couple of years. So you've got a window right now where you can spend the money now because they're not going to have to really start shelling out the money for Biggio, Guerrero, and Bichette. They're not going to start shelling that out for a couple of years, 3-4 years. That's so right now, spend the money, and then down the road, figure it out. Because you also don't know what's going to happen. Something terrible could happen. Guerrero could break his leg. Biggio could get hit in the head and have concussion symptoms and never be the same again. So you go for it now. Make some moves, do the moves, but I think you got to go for it because those three are a couple of years away from getting paid. Kevin, Yankee Stadium is overrated, trust me, and it's damn expensive to get into. Here's the nice thing about Camden Yards. I can sit behind the Blue Jays dugout, front row, for like $50. I don't even think I can get into Yankee Stadium for $50. I'm just saying. Kyle, I like Detroit. Did a weekend there last year and saw Vladdy's first Grand Slam. Nice, man. I like that stadium as well. I've been in Ford Field. I actually have not been at the Tiger Stadium, but the whole area they have over there with everything kind of together is nice. Manny Machado, A-Rod, both 30 players. If Manny Machado's on your team, I think you like him, and if he's not on your team, you hate him. This is the window where the Jays need to spend. Right. Spend the money now because in 3 years, you don't know where you're going to be with those guys. It couldn't look at what happened with the Blue Jays with Stroman and Sanchez. It looked like that was going to be the front end of the rotation for 10 years. And that blew up in our face. Sanchez had a blister every other game. Stroman didn't want to be there anymore. So you never know. You just gotta play for today. Austin Martin as well. I do like the idea of Austin Martin in the future. I hope he comes up quick. They got a spot for him right now at third base. That's for sure. Obviously, he's not coming up anytime soon, but I like Austin Martin. James, Detroit, nice ballpark, A+. $50 cover your hot dog in Yankee Stadium. I know, yeah. I got a buddy. I don't know if anybody from New York might know Ernie Acosta from WFAN. He's a buddy of mine. We went to school, and they have the Yankees. He's a big Yankee fan, and he's telling me about. I'm telling him about everything I can get at Camden Yards that he can't do it. He can't sniff at Yankee Stadium. Kyle Duffield saw one and tried to tell me trade Martin for Lindor. You can't trade Martin yet either. The rule is they have to be a year removed from the draft, so you can't. Martin's off the table. Used to be 2 or 3 years, and now it's 1 year. Andy, I've only been to Angel Stadium and Dodger Stadium. I want to get to Dodger Stadium. That's something that's on my list. I got to get to Dodger Stadium. Progressive Field is very yes. Progressive Field is very nice, Bryce. And one of these days, I'll show you guys. So I've actually played baseball on Progressive Field over there in Cleveland. The short of it is my father runs a group of radio stations in Western New York, and at the time was in Western Pennsylvania, and they have something called Affiliate Day, and they invite each affiliate can bring 4 guests to the stadium. They take a picture with the broadcaster. I can't remember his name. They take another picture with an old player who I'd never heard of. And then they let you go out on the field. You're out on the field for like 4 or 5 hours. You're taking batting practice. You're shagging balls. I have stood in the shortstop position. I have stood where Francisco Lindor. That's probably why he's so good, because my feet have graced that spot in the infield to take ground balls. Now it was a bear trying to get the ball from the third base side of shortstop to first base, but it was kind of fun. I actually have some pictures of that. Maybe one day we'll throw some pictures up. I have some video of it too. I'm trying to rob fly balls. If you when I don't know if you when Mookie Betts made that catch on the outfield wall in the World Series, I tweeted. It's another reason why you want to check me out on Twitter at Jim Riley Live. Again, shameless plug. I put a picture up who did it better, and I had Mookie Betts on the wall, and then I had my picture from the video when I was, scaling the wall trying to rob a home run. Anyway, that's enough of that. So Cleveland A plus, Cincinnati A. Haven't been to Cincinnati, but it looks great on TV. Pittsburgh, I've been to PNC, but I have not been. I'm sorry, I've been to Hines, but I haven't been to PNC. I do want to get there. Let's see. I hope Jays fans are not high on Jordan Groshans. He's getting traded. I'm all for a Jordan Groshans trade, Kyle. I think that's a chip that they need to cash in. Deal him. Cross 3DG, only been to Dodger Stadium in Kaufman. KC is pretty, the fountains out there in KC. They've also done some renovations. So good things. I've heard good things about KC as well. Is the 2021 season delayed, Andy? Probably. We were talking about that earlier. Probably. The owners are already starting to fire shots, starting to plant the seed. We'll find out. We'll find out. I think that I think they probably have started talking behind closed doors, and they weren't getting anywhere. And that's why today you saw the owners come out with their story with Nightengale, and then immediately the players were ready to say that they were going to be there, on opening day or for the first day of spring training. True Blue. I've watched the Dodgers play in 15 stadiums, and my favorite so far is Wrigley, Boston, and Camden. I have been to Boston. It's the thing about, I know we got to have Andy's in here about Boston. Maybe it's because it was the first time I was there. Is Boston just cut off? Like, we were in the right field bleachers, and I wanted to walk around the concourse, and I couldn't. I think the wall screws that up, right? Let me know, Andy, if you're still in here. I was having trouble getting around the concourse because I think of the wall, but I've only been there once. Let's see. True Blue, we got you 15 games for the Dodgers. I mean, that's pretty good going around. I like it. My favorite stadium is Milwaukee. Haven't been there yet, but Milwaukee does look nice. I mean, there's so many new stadiums lately. There's a lot of good stuff out there. So that's there's some good stuff. Yeah, a lot going on here. And I love the interaction. I love the conversation that we've had. We've been going for 2.5 hours. And this is how it's going to, when I come on live, this is how it's going to go. We're just going to talk baseball. We're going to talk about what's going on. If you haven't already, hit me up on Twitter. Follow me there. I could talk to you all day long. I don't work these days. This is my job. So I'm available to talk baseball all day long. So, follow me on Twitter at Jim Riley Live, and we'll talk baseball all day long. Kyle, here's my question. If you're the Jays, do you try to get DJ or save and pay for Lindor? Lindor's younger. You got 4 more years of Lindor. Lindor is going to be 27, and DJ is 31, 32. So I would go get Lindor because you're going to have to pay DJ similar to Lindor this year. And you're gonna have for a couple years. I would go get Lindor because you're still in his prime. DJ's gonna have a couple good years left, but Lindor's probably got like 6, 7 good years left. So I would go get Lindor. So listen, it is 12:30, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for coming in. This has been a great response. I love it. Again, this is the format it'll be. We'll have sort of the lineup, some stuff that we're going to talk about, sort of a guideline. You guys run the chat. You guys run how this goes. If we get to a point where we have, a few hundred people in here and the chat's overwhelming, I'll make some of you guys some admins or whatever so we can make sure that we chat, because people who are here early, you guys will be loyal to. So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate this. True Blue, if you get a chance to visit Dodger Stadium, go to Top Deck. I've heard that. I've actually heard that. I think Mad Dog Russo was talking about that a few years ago. We went on vacation to LA, went to Dodger Stadium, was talking about that. Definitely. Good tip. Thank you. So thank you guys for checking this out. Coming up on the channel, keep an eye out for more content whenever we have any big moves. We'll be back. If they're talking about trade rumors, I'd like to break those down and talk about that too. In the next couple of days, you will see the final installment of the Ken Burns rewatch series, the bottom of the 10th. Hum Baby Baseball and I, we made it through all 9 innings. The top of the 10th is being posted on his channel in the next day or two. The bottom of the 10th is going to be recorded tomorrow, and I'll get that up as soon as I can edit that out. But you can catch the odd innings are on my channel, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Those are on my channel. The even innings are on his channel, and there will be a new one up on my channel in the next couple of days. This was fun. I wish I came earlier. Yeah, man, the target time is going to be 10 o'clock. I like the whole nightcap thing. Thank you very much, Kevin. So we're just going to do these nightcaps. It'd be a good way to kind of wind down the evening and just kind of let baseball be the end of the day for us. So again, thank you guys for checking this out. I appreciate it very much. Love the support. We've been doing this for a little over a year, and I think things are going well. Andy, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate that. Kyle, I'll see you on Twitter. Kevin, True Blue, Aaron, hold on, Aaron, we got one real quick. Aaron, Snell on the market for trade, want him on the Jays. I wouldn't mind it. I'd like it, but I don't think the Rays are gonna make a trade. Do it. I just, the way the Rays operate, I'd be surprised to see them do a move in the division. Andy James, if you haven't already, find me on Twitter, guys. I want to talk more with you guys on Twitter. So do that. Jim Riley Live over there. Thank you guys. We will be back. I'm going to shoot to be back to do this again next Tuesday or Wednesday. But again, as needed, I'm back too when stuff pops. So thank you for checking it out. Everybody have a great evening. It's 12:30 on the East. What's that mean? 10:30 on the West. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you for coming in, and I will see you guys again next time. Take care.